tonight at Shea Stadium clinched the 9th consecutive division championship for the Atlanta Braves. So as the Braves dance, the Mets were blue, watching their rivals celebrate on their home turf. The emotion won't be the same as last year, but with the win tonight, the Mets can clinch a postseason appearance for the 2nd straight year. Compared to last year, it will be a more subdued celebration if the Mets come up with a win tonight, but if they are victorious, they will clinch a playoff spot and go to the postseason for the 2nd straight year. Tonight at Shea Stadium, it's the Mets and Atlanta Braves in the middle game of this 3-game series on your home for Mets baseball, Fox Sports Net. Hi again, everyone. I'm Matt Loughlin. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday evening. Last night, the Mets entered play against the Braves with an outside chance at overtaking them in the National League East. But Atlanta won by a score of 7-1. The game ended on this play. Runners at first and second in the 9th inning. Todd Pratt at the plate. He grounds out to Chipper Jones, who eventually tags out Bubba Trammell. John Rocker celebrates, as do the Braves, their 9th consecutive division championship as they head once again to the postseason. In the wild card, Arizona was eliminated last night by their loss. L.A. 5 games behind. The Mets' magic number is 1. Any combination of a Mets victory or a Dodgers loss, and the Mets are in the postseason for the 2nd year in a row. For more on tonight's game and what lies ahead, upstairs we go to Howie and Fran.
All right, Matty, thanks. And I suppose what lies ahead will become more clearly defined once the Mets finally lock up the wild card, which could come as soon as a few hours from now. And so, Fran, how do you think that would affect the way Bobby Valentine handles things between now and Sunday?
Well, I think Bobby Valentine would just try to get everybody in great playing shape once they do secure the wild card berth. Get them ready, get everybody their swings, get them some playing time, and get ready for the playoffs. And then they have to refocus on the playoffs. Right now, they've been focused on the Atlanta Braves up until last night.
Well, as far as the pitching is concerned, Rick Reed will make his final start of the season tonight. And even though he took a no decision in a game the Mets would lose in Philadelphia last time out, really over his last half dozen starts or so, he's been very good.
Yeah, Rick Reed has been throwing the ball very well. We talked about it many times, how Rick Reed not only trying to help the Mets win the wild card and get into the playoffs, but he's also pitching for a new contract. So Rick Reed will have to have his good stuff once again tonight to beat the Braves and secure the wild card berth. The Mets might as well not wait any longer, so Reed has to have his real good stuff. In Philly, he wasn't in the groove from the first pitch on.
Yeah, he wound up with a no decision. The Mets would fall behind, wind up tying the game. They lost in the 9th inning. So as far as the Braves tonight are concerned, Matt Loughlin asked Dave Wallace what the key is for Reed.
To be consistent, to make quality pitches, and we preach that all year long every start. And when you do that, for the most part, you come out ahead of the game. If you don't make quality pitches, you make mistakes, you get behind, then you got some problems, especially against a club who can is mistake-free usually. So there's very little margin for error when you play a club like this.
Is there something he looks to do as this game gets underway, maybe even in anticipation of what's down the line?
Well, I don't think so. I think you just got to go out tonight and you do what you do best, and you try to execute pitch by pitch, inning by inning, and you should look back when the night is over and you assess what you did.
Well, Dave Wallace has ties to the Los Angeles Dodgers, so of course to several people around the New York Mets. Tommy Lasorda has managed a gold medalist. More on that next.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Coors Light, Frost Brewed to tap the clean taste of the Rockies. By the 68,000 professionals at Delta Airlines. By your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers. And by The Wiz, your ticket to entertainment.
Tonight's New York Mets baseball game is brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of Major League Baseball. This Bud's for you. By Payne Weber. Thank you, Payne Weber. And by AT&T. Now get local and long-distance service all in one. AT&T Local One Rate, New York. We're at Shea Stadium. The Mets taking on the Atlanta Braves. In other baseball news, in Sydney, Australia, the United States takes home the gold as Tom Lasorda's club defeats Cuba by a score of 4-0. to take the gold medal. Ben Sheets was outstanding on the hill as the USA comes home with the gold. I asked Bobby Valentine about his reaction when he found out that the USA team had won the contest.
Well, actually, I stayed up late last night and have been following them. You know, a couple of the guys have a connection here, you know, and Mike Kincaid was starting, and, you know, Tommy's pretty close, and I knew how much he wanted this. It's a crowning blow, but it's great for our country, you know. I mean, these guys just wanted it a little more, and they went over there, did what they had to do, and brought home the goal. I'm proud of all of them. They should be proud of themselves.
I knew he was going to do it, and Tommy's the type of guy that this is a great sort of swan song, I guess, to his career, and I think it's wonderful that you know, he took a team over there and got them together rather quickly and made him a team, and Tommy's just a consummate motivator, and I'm very happy for him.
When you found out that the U.S. had defeated Cuba and won the gold medal, did it bring back any memories of Seoul?
Yeah, actually, you know, it just brought a smile to my face because, you know, I know exactly what they're feeling, and, you know, just how happy you are, really, just to kind of stand up there. And there's nothing like standing on that podium and hearing the national anthem, and you know, happy for Mike Kincaid especially, just, you know, just knowing how happy he is.
So a good moment down under for the USA baseball team. Here in the States and here in New York, the Mets are hoping for a good moment and a win tonight. The first pitch is next.
Howie Rose, Fran Healy, Matt Loughlin with you from Shea Stadium in New York as we get set for Game 2 of this three-game series between the Mets and the Braves. Tonight, the Mets try to put the wild card away the night after the Braves took care of the Eastern Division. And Rick Reed's first pitch of the night to Rafael Furcal is outside for ball one. Furcal's been a hot hitter, and as many people took note of him early in the season as a 19-year-old rookie, well, even more so, have been impressed by the way he's hit lately, going .351 over his last 19 games.
Howie, he was a great story in spring training. I was talking to Pat Corrales tonight. What they did was they put him on the backfield where nobody could see him. All the rookies went on the backfield. And every day, Bobby Cox would go over and take a look at him. And every day, the coaches would look at him. He got better and better and better. A couple of weeks into spring training, they were thinking, management was thinking of sending him to Double-A. They said, whoa, 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 keep him around for a little while longer.
Fisted foul, the count 2-2.
You can always send him to Double-A. In the back of their minds, they wanted to try to convince the front office to keep him. So, as it went on, spring training went on longer and longer. He became more impressive. John Sherhouse, the general manager, always liked him. So Bobby Cox and the coaches had to convince the front office to keep him. They wanted him for his speed and his range. They didn't know what he was going to do with his bat.
And his arm, too.
Oh, great arm.
Outside, a full count. Now, with the Mets starting a right-hander, Rick Reed, that means that Furcal is the shortstop tonight, with Keith Lockhart playing second base.
Well, he certainly, without Furcal, they would have struggled. Well, not struggled, but they wouldn't have been the club they are.
Reed gets Furcal. A good start for Rick Reed. One gone to the Atlanta first. Take a closer look at that scouting report on Reed, Fran.
Well, if you follow Rick Reed, you know this scouting report by heart. Don't expect a leadoff walk. Furcal didn't. 4 straight seasons with 10 or more wins as a Met. Long ball is his Achilles heel. In Philadelphia, in his last start, he didn't have his pinpoint control. You know from the get-go if Reed's in the groove when he hits that glove.
Andrew Jones hits one to left and deep. Perez at the wall. It's gone. Home run number 35 for Andrew Jones. And the Braves take a 1-0 lead. Reed doesn't look like he thought that ball was going to go out.
That ball was heading for Piazza's glove also, so Rick Reed was throwing that ball exactly where he wanted it. I guess it was exactly where Andrew Jones wanted it also. 35 home runs on the year. Take another look. The glove, the ball's heading for the glove. Look at that. Look at Andrew Jones. Gets the head of the bat on that ball and pops it over the left field wall.
So now it's Chipper Jones on a 13-game hitting streak, and he takes strike one from Reed. So Andrew Jones having the best season of his young career. Adds to the home run totals. He now has 101 runs batted in. 0-2 to Chipper Jones. Boy, Chipper's had a lot of success, not only this year when you look at his body of work for the season, but against Rick Reed, he's been 10 for 26 with a couple of home runs. But Rick ahead here, 0-2, and a fastball off the plate away.
Talking to Pat Corrales about Andrew Jones before the ball game, he's raving about his ability. I said to Pat Corrales, he's the best player you've ever seen. Willie Mays.
Got a lot of company. In there for a call, strike 3. Reed hits the outside corner. 2 men away. Let's take a look at the Atlanta lineup. Only one real irregular player in there, and that's Bobby Bonilla.
Well, for the Braves, for Cal and Jones, the first 2 hitters to be followed by Chipper Jones. Then Andres Galarraga, Bobby Bonilla, who's in left field, Javi Lopez, Reggie Sanders, Keith Lockhart, and then Kevin Millwood.
So now it's Galarraga. Andres with another big hit against the Mets last night when he hit a 2-run double up the alley in right center. 1 ball, no strikes to the Atlanta first baseman. So in case you were wondering what Bobby Cox was going to do with his lineup the night after the Braves clinched the division title, the answer is not much. And Galarraga hits one on the nose to straightaway center. Payton puts it away. The Braves are done in the first. A 1-out home run from Andrew Jones has given Atlanta the lead. Now they'll send Kevin Millwood out to the mound. The Mets are coming up. To entertainment. We get set for the last of the first inning. The Braves with a run in the top half. Our umpires brought to you by ClickandSettle.com. Settle your legal disputes online before your expenses get out of line. Gary Setterstrom calls the balls and strikes tonight with Marvin Hudson at first, Tim Welke at second, and Dale Scott, the umpire, at third. The Mets will face Kevin Millwood, who is 2-0 against the Mets lifetime. A no decision his only start this year. That was the night the Mets came back from being down 8-1 and put up that 10-run 8th inning. Millwood did not figure in that decision. And Timo Perez pulled the hands up to bunt, takes ball 1. And you see Chipper Jones, the third baseman, guarding against the bunt possibility and the speed of Perez. A strike at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike. Millwood not having as good a year this year, Fran, as his last 2.
160 strikeouts in 205 innings, a 4.61 ERA.
That's a strike, 1 and 2.
Take a look at Millwood's scouting report. The Braves were hoping he would get into that 20-win category. Fastball, curve, and a change. Better against righties than lefties.
And a breaking ball. It's going to be a tough play for Furcal, but oh, look how easy he makes it look. Outstanding play by Rafael Furcal, and that is not nearly as simple as he made it seem.
How about the arm? That could do some damage to Galarraga's hand. Reaches for it, then off balance throws a bullet to first base. The Braves feel he has the best arm as an infielder since a young Sean Dunston came up with the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, that could drive Andres Galarraga into retirement.
Well, Andres Galarraga played in Venezuela in spring training for the first time at Furcal. And it was an exhibition game in spring training, and Furcal threw a ball across the infield and hurt his hand.
I'm not surprised. Derek Bell lines one to center. Andrew Jones covers the ground, 2 away. So the Mets with 2 separate opportunities, 1 on the ground, 1 in the air, and Brave defense denies them both.
And the Mets lineup you saw leading off Perez and then Bell followed. Alfonso will be next. 24 home runs this year, 27 in 99. Piazza will follow Alfonso, then Robert Ventura, Todd Zeile, Jay Payton, Mike Bordick, and the pitcher Rick Reed.
So 2 out, nobody on. Perez grounding out, Bell flying out, and now Alfonso. And Alfonso, with 2 hits in last night's game, takes a strike on a fastball from Millwood. And Alfonso's been racking up the extra base hits, not only the home runs. Over his last 17 games, he's had 6 homers and 7 doubles. 13 extra base hits, never mind just hits. Pretty good streak. Not an easy play here for Bonilla. And the Mets go quickly in the first inning. So Millwood gets some help from his defense. And at the end of one, the Braves with a 1-0 lead. Mr. Jones Homer has the Braves on top 1-0. Let's go around the horn, look at the Mets defensively. Starting with the first baseman, and once again, that is Todd Zeile. Talking things over with Glenn Hubbard, the Braves first base coach. At second base, Edgardo Alfonzo. The third baseman, Robin Ventura. And the shortstop, Mike Fortin. In the outfield, Timo Perez is in left. Jay Payton in center. And around in right, it's Derek Bell. Mike Piazza back behind the plate as Rick Reed gets set to face former Met Bobby Bonilla.
It'll be a nice night for the Mets to wrap up that wild card and start thinking about the playoffs. Of course, they're still watching to find out who they're going to play. How about that?
What hand is he going to play in tribute to Bobby Bonilla? That's clever. Fly ball well hit right center. Payton on the run. It's deep. At the warning track, he makes the catch. So Bonilla hit it well, but Jay Payton covered the ground. One man away.
You know, when you really think about the situation, Bobby Bonilla got a chance to play where he grew up. He was excited about it, and nothing turned out right. A lot of it was due to what some of his actions. As you look at Payton catch that ball, but that's going to go down probably as the heartbreak of his career, not being able to really enjoy himself just a few miles from where he grew up.
No balls, one strike to Javi Lopez. As you mentioned, Bobby made most of his own headaches here in New York, but he's pretty happy in Atlanta. And Lopez fouls it straight back. Reed ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Lopez has been swinging the bat well. He's had 7 out of his last 16. But he might as well stock up on his hits if he gets a chance tonight, because chances are tomorrow night he'll be on the bench while Paul Bacco catches Greg Maddux. Outside, 1-2, in all likelihood.
And then the playoffs?
Yeah, that all changes. Which is what you wonder, will Bobby Cox say, listen, you know, we're in postseason mode now. Greg, Javi's catching you tomorrow, and that's all there is to it. What's Maddux going to do? Go on strike? He's got a 36 and a third inning scoreless streak, and he's got 19 wins with 1 more start.
I'm sure there's been discussions between Bobby Cox and Greg Maddux about that.
Something tells me Maddux has done most of the talking.
Well, as far as during the season, but postseason.
Lopez down on strikes. That's 2 strikeouts now for Rick Reed. So 2 up, 2 down in the Atlanta second. Let's take a closer look at our pitching matchup, brought to you by the New York Marriott.
Well, Rick Reed looks like he's in the groove. So does Kevin Millwood. Rick Reed has been hitting the target. He's trailing 1-0, and even on that pitch, it was headed for the target, and Andrew Jones hit it out.
So 2 out, nobody on. Reggie Sanders, the right fielder. And a breaking ball lined to left. So a hanger by Reed becomes a 2-out single. And Reggie Sanders, who's had a great September, finally validating the reasons the Braves went out and got him, is aboard with 2 out, and Keith Lockhart coming up.
Yeah, we talk about finishing strong. The Braves have to be very happy and optimistic about next year with Sanders finishing strong. There was a great deal of concern because he wasn't helping the ball club at all for about 4 or 5 months. In the month of September, he came on strong for the Braves.
Keith Lockhart playing second base with right-hander Rick Reed on the mound. And what they've done since the regular second baseman Kilvio Veras went down for the season with a knee injury halfway through is start Lockhart at second against the right-handers and Furcal at short. And then Walt Weiss will play short and Furcal second when there's a left-hander on the mound. That was the case last night when Al Leiter did the pitching. Tomorrow night, another right-hander pitches for New York, Bobby Jones against Maddux. Walt Weiss is back to the postseason.
I'll show you how good a manager Bobby Cox is. Keith Lockhart was 0 for 20 as a pinch hitter when the Mets were in Atlanta. He finally got a base hit. When I talked to Bobby Cox about that, he said, I wasn't aware of that.
Do you believe him?
Yes, yeah. Until yesterday.
Until after he got the hit?
No,
people reminded him, or
the day before.
Okay.
The day before. And you know what that shows me? That he goes with his gut. You know, the computer can get in the way at times.
Fastball high, 3-0 to Lockhart.
And Bobby Cox is extremely loyal to people who have helped him achieve success. He's not one to forget, especially veteran players, and I'm sure that when the Braves have to release or trade a veteran player to make room for a young player, it's tough on Bobby Cox and his coaches.
Fastball for a strike, 3-1. Lockhart, a terrific pinch hitter the last couple of years. 0 for 24 until that hit against the Mets. Well, remember, he started a lot lately, and he's hit .333 over his last 37 games. It's this one in the air, and it should be easy for Peyton. Jay barely moves, and the side retired, so Reed picks up a big out, because now he can start the third inning by going after the pitcher, Kevin Millwood, rather than Furcal. Middle of the second, 1-0 Braves. Bottom half, inning 2 here at Shea Stadium. Let's take a look at what Keith Millwood has working for him defensively tonight. We go around the horn, starting with Andres Galarraga, playing first base for the Braves. And a big comeback season it's been for the man they've called the Big Cat. At second base tonight is Keith Lockhart. The third baseman is Chipper Jones. And at shortstop, we've already seen his work, Rafael Furcal. In the outfield, Bobby Bonilla gets the start in left field. Andrew Jones is in center. His home run has Atlanta in front. Reggie Sanders was in left field last night. He moves to right field for game 2. Javi Lopez doing the catching, as the Mets catcher, Mike Piazza, strides to the batter's box to face Millwood. With the numbers that Mike has put up against seemingly every pitcher in the National League since 1993, it'll probably surprise you to hear that Piazza is only 2 for 19 against Millwood. That's pretty good pitching by Kevin Millwood. And Piazza takes the first pitch fastball, 0-1. Millwood's not totally or terribly complicated when it comes to repertoire. Fastball, slider, sinking fastball, two-seamer, occasional curve. Line to right, Sanders hustling in, and he makes the catch.
Mike with that big swing, and Sanders started in and wasn't sure if he could catch it, because ordinarily when Mike Piazza swings the bat and makes contact, outfielders tend to think, I got to go back. But Mike hit the ball off the end of the bat, but he still hit it hard enough where Sanders could come in and make the catch. It looked to me like he hesitated for a moment, not sure whether or not he could catch that ball before it dropped, but the ball hung up there, and Sanders made the grab.
Robin Ventura takes a strike, even though it wasn't handled cleanly by Javi Lopez. Umpires love that, huh?
Well, umpires, they don't like it. It's a strike, and that's when they really don't like it. They tell you, try to catch the ball if it's in the strike zone, because you're showing me up. People in the stands see you drop a ball, they think it's out of the strike zone. There I am calling it a strike.
And the 0-1 to Ventura, 0-2.
Well, you got to congratulate Tommy Lasorda and the baseball team from the United States winning the gold medal. Robin Ventura was talking to Matt Lockman about it. Bobby Valentine was talking to Matt. Tommy told me out in L.A. when we were there, he said, we're not traveling 6,000 miles to lose. I better say blankety to anybody.
Ventura goes around, 2 men away.
But I often thought there must have been, you know, the professional players are well aware of Tommy Lasorda, and he's quite a character. He's a great promoter for baseball throughout the world. And I could just picture some of the college kids listening to Tommy. Of course, they're pursuing degrees in certain topics, in certain subjects, and they got a degree in BS. And if they stayed long enough, they got an MS, more of the same. And if they stayed longer with Tommy, it'd have been a PhD piled high and deep. And Tommy's one of the great motivators. And Bobby Valentine played for him in the minor leagues and the big leagues.
Fastball for Zeal. Who's writing your material?
Why? I have those degrees.
1-0 on Zeal. Only the second pitch out of the strike zone among the first 13 thrown tonight by Millwood. It gets right back to throwing strikes. He hits the outside corner with a heater. Well, 1 ball, 1 strike. Millwood has picked up the first 5 Mets. Well, he's had some help from his defense for Carl and Andrew Jones on the first 2 in the first inning. Fastball, 2-1. Zeal hitless in last night's game. He had been a hot hitter with 6 of 16 coming in. And Millwood hits the outside corner. It's 2-2.
You know, it's funny when you watch Millwood throw, he has probably better stuff than Maddox and Glavine. But they have that great control. They change speed to make it look easy. And Maddox will be on the mound tomorrow night.
Millwood's had a couple of freak injuries this year. One in particular got hit with a ball during indoor BP about a month ago and broke his nose. And the payoff pitch upstairs, and Zeal swings through it. The side retires. So Millwood gets a little help there from Todd Zeal, who threw his bat in disgust, swinging at a pitch out of the strike zone. 2 in the books, 1-0, New York, Atlanta. We go to the third inning, and Fran, just a little something to put in your memory bank concerning Rick Reed. We'll see how things transpire the rest of the way. But after Reggie Sanders came up with a base hit at the top of the second inning, Reed looks at his finger. Maybe a blister, maybe a nail problem.
Well, it could be either or, but I'm sure it was well taken care of in the dugout by Fred Hina. Fred Hina is talking to Rick Reed and pretty much was trying to get a look at it. Now he motions to Dave Wallace something about the hand. Of course, the most famous blisters in the history of New York Mets baseball, Nolan Ryan.
And the most famous cure, supposedly, was pickle brine.
Did it ever work?
Supposedly it did. Yeah, Al Leiter had a blister problem earlier this year. I don't know if he went to the...
Did Al Leiter have a lot of it when he was with early in his career with the Yankees?
Kevin Millwood, the Atlanta pitcher, takes a strike from Reed. Funny how stories get started. I don't know if Al was aware of this, but when Nolan Ryan had his blister problems, all of the credit went to the Mets trainer at the time, Gus March. Gus March, who had actually been the Yankees trainer during the 1950s and 60s, gave him the idea of using the pickle brine to toughen the skin up. Well, it turns out that the idea was relayed to the late Gus March by a guy named Lou Napoli, who used to run the press room here at Shea Stadium.
Lou was very important after the game for the broadcasters.
Yeah, he'd make sure they were all well taken care of, but he was also a boxer and was familiar with that. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Millwood. He understood that treatment to help blisters, so he passed it along to Gus March. In the end, wound up helping Nolan Ryan. And we don't know whether or not that particular problem was what Reed was concerned with after that base hit by Sanders, but we saw Fred Hina, the trainer, looking at it. He's aware of it. They'll just monitor Reed from here on out. Fastball on the hand, still 2-2.
Well, obviously the playoffs are next. The Mets secure the wild card, so you got to be careful with Reed's finger. Reed also personally has to be careful because right now playing for a new contract, and we are assuming with the New York Mets.
And a breaking ball a little bit high. So Reed goes full to the opposing pitcher, leading off the third inning.
I've always been surprised that pitchers didn't throw more breaking balls to pitchers. Well, difficult pitch to hit for everyday players.
There's a fastball. Reed's got to get to the bag. Zeal leads him. Good play, 1 down. Diamond View Suites are now available for the postseason. Enjoy the playoff games in the luxury of a fully catered Diamond View Suite. Each suite holds 15 people and has a great view of the field. For more information, call 718-565-4310 during business hours. So Reed got off the mound. Millwood retired. Back to the top of the order now, and Rafael Furcal. Fran, you were talking about pitchers not throwing as many curveballs to opposing pitchers as you might think. Is that a more taxing pitch on the arm, and is that why pitchers might tend to stay away from it?
I would say it's more taxing on the arm, but it...
Watch the speed of Furcal. Zeal lunges, and he got him. Good play by Todd Zeal, the only play he had.
Well, we've seen Todd Zeal with a lot of tag plays at first base. Just like that. He's done a whale of a job getting that ball and tagging runners going down the first baseline. This kid can really fly for Cal. Look at Todd Zeal playing up off to the side. Easier for him to reach, and he makes a nice play tagging for Cal. Another look. steal, dives, and he is called out.
2 out, nobody on. Andrew Jones lines one fair into the left field corner. He homered his last time up. He's got another extra base hit as Perez plays it in. And standing at second with a 2-out double is Andrew Jones. So he hit his 35th homer in the first inning. Here in the third, he comes up with his 36th two-base hit.
We talked about how relaxed this kid plays the game, and he's a delight to watch. Last night he played not only center field, but left field at times. The wind would carry the ball left field. He'd track it down.
So with Andrew Jones at second, Chipper Jones, who struck out looking in the first inning, is the batter. 63 strikeouts there, 2 last night. That is a very low figure for a power hitter. 35 homers, 109 runs batted in, and Reed throws in a strike, nothing in one.
Yeah, it's almost like when you're facing a leadoff hitter or a number 2 hitter who puts the ball in play, but instead you're facing a guy with power that hits like that. He's like that. Piazza's similar, makes contact. Gary Sheffield out in L.A. having a terrific season, same way, puts the ball in play.
0-2 now to Chipper.
Then on the same field tonight with Chipper Jones, his teammate who's on deck, Andres Galarraga. Figure that one out. And you would think the way he hits, the way he uses the whole field, he'd be difficult to strike out, but he's not. But he's been very productive throughout his career.
Well, the 13-game hitting streak has produced some big numbers. And he struck out in the first inning. It's 0-2 here. Reed delivers just off the outer edge. Rick Reed missing outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes now to Jones. As far as average goes, much better from the right side. Right now, as a left-hand batter, he's at 285. Right-handed, 425. Tough out, though, from either side, to be sure. Andrew Jones leads, and Chipper Jones takes it 2-2.
Well, from our rooftop camera, taking a look at that pitch, it's way outside. When you strike out 63 times in a season, the hitter gets the benefit of the doubt.
2-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball, and he holds up. So what was 0-2 is now 3-2 to a hitter who has been very, very difficult for the Mets over the course of his career.
He said he gets up even more for the Mets than any other team. Loves to play in New York. I guess it's because of those numbers. He's highly successful.
Let's play him to pull in the outfield. This will be a payoff pitch from Reed. And a fastball just misses upstairs. So Reed loses Chipper Jones. He had him 0-2. And on 3-2, threw him that 2-seamer a little high. And 2 on for Galarraga.
Well, you get the benefit of the doubt right there. Boy, that was close coming back. Let's see if it got the play from our rooftop camera. Oh, maybe they said it was high. Because it hit the corner of the plate, according to our rooftop camera.
So 2 on for Galarraga, who flied out to center to end the first inning. And a breaking ball, broken bat, Bordick, the short way, and the side retired. Play on the left side of that infield when half a bat comes flying in your direction, but Bordick stayed with it, and the Mets are out of the inning. 2-out double, then a walk, and the Braves leave 2. Middle of the third here at Shea. It's 1-0 Atlanta.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Sun America Mutual Funds, the retirement specialist.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Mets. Last of the third inning, a far, far more comfortable night than last evening. And a lot of fans here, even with some of the edge having been taken off of the series by the Atlanta division clincher last night, still hoping the Mets can wrap up the wild card and maybe make a further case for Peyton and the Rookie of the Year possibility.
That battle's still going on, and there are a few guys in the hunt. Peyton is one, for Cal another, Mitch Molesky, the catcher with the Houston Astros, but I think Jay Payton and Rafael Furcal will get a closer look because they were with high-profile teams this year.
Jay Payton rips a fastball, and Furcal goes up for it.
How about that?
Like they're going one-on-one.
I don't blame him. That ball is crushed, and a nice play by Furcal. 20-year-old shortstop getting off the ground, taking that ball, taking a base hit away from Payton.
Well, Millwood has retired the first 7, but this is just one of 3 good plays he's had made behind him.
He really got off the ground, didn't he? The only guy who jumped higher, Jay Payton, out in San Francisco, when he made that catch in left center field, which I think the play of the year for the Mets. He went to left center field and jumped. I believe the wall was 8 feet.
Yeah, Jay was about 10.
Oh.
Millwood. This is outside to Mike Bordick. 2 balls and no strikes.
Hey, speaking of good defensive shortstops, Ray Ordonez here at the ballpark tonight.
Making progress. He'll have the plate taken out of his wrist tomorrow. There's Ray. Nice to see him again. Upstairs, 3-0.
Ray Ordonez trying to get back in shape. Ray showed up this year 14 pounds heavier than he was last year, and I'm assuming he felt it would give more power. But I don't think there's a correlation between weight and power.
They have even restricted him somewhat defensively because he was not as good in the first month or so.
We didn't see the highlight plays that we ordinarily, we would see 3 or 4 a week from Ray Ordonez, not this year.
Full count now to Bordick. Of course, Rays recover and whatever possibility the Mets might have in getting Alex Rodriguez certainly factors into the guy in the batter's box, Mike Bordick. Bordick, of course, eligible for free agency at the end of the year, 35 years old. When you've got Ordonez under contract for 3 more years. And somewhat difficult to trade. I mean, he can't even begin any baseball-related activities. Ray can't until January. You know, if any team were interested, I would think they'd want to see him healthy in spring training before they commit to making a deal.
When you looked at that play time and again, you would never think him making contact with a helmet, diving into second base, would break his arm like it did.
Bordick down on strikes. 3 strikeouts now for Kevin Millwood. 2 men away here in the third. Let's take a look at what's coming up the rest of the week, the remainder of the season in our Delta upcoming schedule.
Well, the Braves will be at it again with the Mets tomorrow night. Greg Maddux will be on the hill for the Braves. So come on out, watch one of the best pitchers in the game. Friday, the Expos come to town. You see one of the best ball players in all of baseball, Vladimir Guerrero, taking on the Mets Friday night, Saturday and Sunday afternoon. Saturday afternoon start 1:25, Sunday 1 o'clock.
Yeah, make note of that game time change, by the way, on Saturday, because until recently that was scheduled to be a night game, but it'll be telecast nationally on Fox 5 here in New York. 1-0 to Rick Reed. Tried to hold the swing and could not, says Marvin Hudson. 1-1. So Millwood trying to make it 3 perfect innings here, and he had to fight back from being down 3-0 to Bordick to strike him out. Fastball misses away, 2-1. Reed, 10 out of 46 as a hitter this year. Those pretty good numbers.
You know, when you look at the Braves over the course of the season, one thing that has been forgotten because of their success is they did it without John Smoltz. Although Smoltz is ready to throw and would like to throw in postseason play, Bobby Cox will not allow it.
Furcal gets a big hop. And Reed is gone. Good start for Kevin Millwood. 3 perfect innings, 3 in the books. 1-0 Braves.
Mike Piazza behind the plate tonight. We invite you tomorrow to tune in to Fox Sports Net. We'll have Game 3 of this series. Kicking off our coverage, of course, with Geico Mets on deck at 6:30 p.m. And during our pregame show, we will travel with Mike Piazza off the field. In fact, we'll travel to a golf course in Pennsylvania called Bellwood. It's owned by Mike and his dad, and it's a golf course in which Mike had a hand in the design.
The beauty of it was the fact of that it's just so natural looking, and it has an incredible sort of just flow with the topography, with the scape of the land. So to watch it from its infancy stage to watch it from a piece of paper to go to a course is something very rewarding.
Mike is a man of many interests. Baseball, of course, #1 on his priority list, but golf runs a pretty close second. He'll talk about that and more tomorrow night on Geico Mets on Deck. Howie and Fran, back to you.
All right, Matty. We'll go to the 4th inning here. Talking to Mike a little bit about that over the weekend. Mike's dad, instrumental in it as well, was in Philadelphia with the Mets a few days ago and really talking that golf course up.
Say it's the fastest growing sport in this country. Mike Piazza, his dad Vince involved in that golf course, and that's not Mike, and that's not his brother.
Yeah, but we know Matty will be dragging his golf clubs down to Philadelphia every time the Mets are down there from now on.
Yep.
And as we go to the 4th inning here, Braves with a 1-0 lead on that Andruw Jones first inning home run. So here's Bonilla again. Gave it a pretty good ride to right center his first time up. Jay Payton, who's pulled around the other way here, as he was then, had to cover a lot of ground and make a nice catch. CJ just a couple of steps over towards the gap the other way. 0-1 on Bonilla. He'll be followed by Lopez and Sanders. Fastball just missed. Reed has struck out 3. He's walked 1. Bonilla playing left field in this game. He actually played third base in a game here against the Mets earlier this season. He did not get a chance on the ground in that game. And when we were in Atlanta last week, a couple hours before the game, there was Bobby Bonilla taking ground balls at third because he says that if you don't play the outfield for 3 months, manager says get out there, you can do it with no problem. He says playing the infield, though, third base, totally different story. He'll take ground balls every day just in case. In there for a call, strike 3.
Bonilla was early in the year a very important part of the Braves ball club. They needed him to fill in, and he did a nice job. He also has been a productive pinch hitter.
All right, let's take a peek at tonight's Aflac trivia question. And this one has to do with home runs against the Mets. Seems like Chipper would be the leader in that category, but somebody's actually hit more. We'll have the answer for you in the bottom of the inning. Javi Lopez, first ball hitting, finds a hole. Just past the dive of Bordick. And the Braves have their 4th hit of the ball game. So a 1-out single by Javi Lopez will bring up Reggie Sanders.
You know, Howie, talking about Javi Lopez, we mentioned his relationship with Greg Maddux, and you wonder, you know, tomorrow night he hasn't really done much catching with Greg Maddux. He will catch him in the playoffs. So would the Braves decide to have him catch tomorrow night? Well, I don't think so, because Greg Maddux is going after the Cy Young Award. He wants to win that ball game. He feels much more comfortable with anybody else behind the plate.
Anybody being the operative term. Reggie Sanders also goes after the first pitch. Might have broken his bat. Tough play. Alfonso. Outstanding play by Edgardo. Alfonso is back to the infield. Also needing to be wary of Derek Bell charging in from right. Well, we've seen some leather plans by both teams in this game so far.
Well, Fonzie does it as well as anybody in the game. He can play that second base. He's got the snow cone right there. Not having the perfect year he had last year, but having a good, solid season defensively. And he's going with his back to home plate, making the over-the-shoulder grab. You saw it from our camera out there in right field. And Derek Bell getting out of the way.
Keith Lockhart takes downstairs 1-0. Lockhart now just 1 for 13 against Rick Reed after that first inning fly outer. The one in the second inning, and he gets under this one too. So for that matter does Derek Bell. And the Braves are done in the 4th. A 1-out single by Lopez, nothing more. So Millwood and Reed with strong starts. Middle of the 4th, 1-0 Atlanta. Nice, clear, comfortable night as well here in New York. The game 2 of this 3-game series between the Mets and the Braves. And the Mets would love to take a huge, deep breath, shake some hands. Steve Phillips actually says he's going to pour champagne over somebody's head if the Mets clinch the wild card, whether it's tonight or somewhere down the line. But right now, Kevin Millwood's had plenty to say about that, with the Mets needing a win in order to assure themselves of a playoff spot. Millwood's gotten the first 9. He gets strike 1 on the outside corner to Timo Perez here in the 4th. Perez to be followed by Bell and Alfonso. Rafael Furcal, the Atlanta shortstop, made a nifty play on a chopper by Perez to throw him out in the 1st inning.
Yeah, that was an excellent play. He was off the ground and threw a bullet over to first base. He had a stretch out to his left while on the move, threw a bullet to get Perez in there. Perez is a guy who runs very well.
Always have to be wary of the bunt with Perez. Cole cut 1 and 2. Chipper Jones has been in on the grass at 3rd, but with 2 strikes, he can step back.
You know, we talk about Furcal's speed of foot and his great arm. Scout goes out and sees somebody like that, you immediately think of him in pro ball because he has a big league throwing arm and he runs very well. You just hope the rest of the puzzle falls into place.
In the air, right center. Sanders covering ground. Can't get it. First hit for the Mets. Sanders kicks it into center field, and Perez is in at second base. So a hit for Perez.
You think the Braves are taking it easy? That ball had base hit written all over it. Watch Sanders go after this ball. The ball was looped in the right center field, and Sanders could have easily played this on a hop, but he saw Millwood and yet to allow a hit. And, of course, his speed, he couldn't stop. He kicks the ball into center field. Watch Perez go. Perez realized he had a blue base hit. He sees double, and he hustles into second base. And scored a single and an error.
Derek Bell takes a fastball upstairs.
That's a tough error.
He was hustling over to try and cut it off. And Timo Perez wound up at second base. Tough play for Sanders because he was trying to cut it off on his backhand.
Yeah, and he just couldn't stop. The ball hit off his body and nothing he could do about it. So he gets an error because he hustled. Think about that with bad news.
Javi Lopez and Millwood want to get together.
Well, probably because of the size. I think today more so than ever before, it might be overly concerned about somebody on second base. I don't think it's the art once was stealing signs from a catcher.
I'm amazed to hear you say, and I know it's the product of a lot of conversations, that most hitters you've talked to about that don't want the sign. Unless you're absolutely sure that that's what you're going to get, they don't want it. And you know what? There's no guarantees. 1 ball, no strikes to Bell.
I mean, you can be on second base, and you can watch the catcher. If he flashes location, you know it's a fastball if he doesn't do it on a breaking ball.
Baseball fouled away.
Most catchers don't flash location on a breaking ball. It's just assumed. On a fastball, you put the fingers in, you give it fastball, complicate, maybe 5 signs, maybe then you go in, you go either to the left or to the right on the thigh to tell the pitcher where you want it. So once you go in that thigh area for location, and you don't do it on a breaking ball, they can pick up the fastball.
There's a fastball lined to right. Sanders over, but it's a foul ball.
But if you're on second base and you're going by location, you're taking a chance. Because if you're giving the sign to the hitter late, you give it quickly and late. There's Derek Bell slapping that fastball out over the plate. Foul down the right field line. Our camera picking it up out there in right field, and there it is again.
Hey, based on what you were saying, you can get a hitter killed that way.
Well, there's some guys that love the pitches, and you know, you can give it like that. You can, but you better do it fast, and he better have a lot of confidence when you're picking him up.
Upstairs with a heater. 2-2 now to Bell.
When I first came up with the Giants, you had to take the pitches. And, of course, Willie Mays would steal them from second base. He could steal them from first base. He could steal the pitcher's pitches by the way he handled the ball. So everybody learned how to hit with the pitches.
Bell again trying to go the other way. And that's a big part of the equation here. Derek Bell is not trying to give himself up. He's just trying to put the ball in play the other way. Certainly trying to get a base hit, but at the very least, to get the speedy Perez over to third where he can score on an out. There's nobody out here, but Derek Bell has proved pretty efficient at hitting the ball the opposite way.
Now, see when a runner's on second base looking around, not paying attention to the catcher, he's not stealing the signs. So you can discount what he's doing down there. When he's looking to the left and looking to the right, the guy you're concerned about is when he gets out there and he focuses in on the catcher's signs, and then when you're done with your signs, there's some movement on his part. You think, well, this could be a possible problem. But there are some guys that lead off second base that they're walking backwards. Now, those are the guys you don't have to worry about. See Timo Perez looking in. Now, you can cause havoc with a catcher's brain. Even though you can't pick up the pitches, if you start motioning to the hitter, now the catcher becomes paranoid.
Perez takes his lead. It'll be a 2-2 to Bell. Breaking ball got him. Boy, Millwood threw a lot of fastballs to Derek Bell in that confrontation. Derek did a pretty good job of fouling them off. Hit a couple of hard-hit foul balls, but here is the breaking ball.
The old equalizer. Breaking ball that's low, outside part of the plate, breaking out of the strike zone.
So 1 out, Alfonso coming up. Now, who's the only player to hit more than those 16 home runs against the Mets since '96? Outdoing Chipper Jones? Sammy Sosa, who did a lot of that damage before he exploded a couple of years ago. Fastball to Alfonso, 1-0. Alfonso flied out to left to end the first inning. And that's trying to get at least even here. They have a runner in scoring position. 1 man out. Braves with a 1-0 lead. And Millwood with a fastball. And it's 1-1. Upstairs, 2 balls and a strike. Alfonso still among the league leaders in terms of getting on base. On-base percentage at .425. 6th in the league. Mike Piazza ready on deck. And the 2-1. Breaking ball. 3 balls, 1 strike. First base open, but just saw Piazza on deck. Millwood trying to get Alfonso here. Millwood's had terrific levels of success against Alfonso and Piazza over the course of their careers. Neither have hit much against them. Ball 4. So now 2 on, 1 out. And a chance for Mike Piazza.
Well, talk about the wild card. Here's the guy that led him most of the season with his bat. So you got Mike Piazza.
He delivers our quote tonight, brought to you by Tri-State Consumer Auto Insurance. Call them right now for your free rate quote.
And they have been doing it. We don't want to beat ourselves, and recently we have been doing that against them, talking about the Braves. And now Piazza can drive in a run and tie this baby up with 1 out here in the 4th.
Breaking ball, and Piazza fouls it off. So 0-1 to Mike Piazza. Millwood threw him a breaking ball that was headed for the outside part of the plate. Look at the play. Andrew Jones. Remember now, Piazza's a right-hand hitter, right? Look at Andrew Jones back there in center field. Way over in right center.
You can justify that.
Because of his speed and the way Piazza can go the other way.
Piazza goes the other way with as much power as anybody, although not as much this season.
Upstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike. Lately, since Piazza started to come around, he's driven the ball with better authority to the opposite field than he has probably in about a month.
Keep in mind now, if you're going to play him that way, you got to pitch him that way.
High ball, right to where Jones was stationed. There are a few steps to his left anyway. So that worked out for the Braves, and then Jones with that terrific arm gives Perez no chance to even think about a tag.
I used to get a big kick out of a meeting when you have a meeting with the pitcher to pitch to a hitter's weaknesses. You look at this ball and it's out over the plate. Piazza hits a fly ball to right center field. When you play him to hit the ball the other way, pitch him that way. But you know, it used to be where the catcher would sit down with the pitcher. You'd go over the weakness of the hitter, and we'd decide, okay, we're going to bust this guy in. Now the team would have a meeting without the pitcher, and they would go over, and they'd say, this is how we're going to play him. So the defense would be playing one way, and the pitcher and catcher would be pitching them the opposite way.
here's Ventura, who struck out his first time up. 2 on, 2 out. Outside, 1-0 on Robin Ventura.
The scouting reports and the meetings are, they have much more detail today than ever before.
1-1 to Robin. Foul tip.
Talking about last night how it used to be the catcher would walk out in front of home plate because he was supposed to be the, I don't know, leader or captain. We bought into it. When we move the outfielders around, then you go back behind the plate and say to yourself, boy, I hope I'm right.
Perez at second, Alfonso at first. Fouled away, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Robin is still trying to get into a prolonged groove, and obviously not much time for that with a season-ending Sunday. But it has been a season of fits and starts offensively for Ventura.
Now the Braves are shading Ventura to hit the other way. You take a look at Andrew Jones out here in center field. And we'll see if they stay with the program and going away from Ventura. Jones made a nice play on Ventura last night in left center field.
And he was more shallow then than he is now.
Breaking ball down and in. Now, just because the pitcher threw the ball breaking ball down and in doesn't mean that he wanted it there. We'll take a look where Javi Lopez sets up. See, he's outside. And Millwood throws that breaking ball and bounces it down and in.
Which means he missed by a whole lot. So the 2-2 on the way. It's the fastball.
You know, I asked Catfish Hunter, the late Catfish Hunter, how many times he thought he could hit the target in the course of the game. And he was a great control pitcher. He said maybe 65, 70% of the time. So great room for error. You're talking about 35, 30% of the time that you're going to miss that target and you're going to miss your location.
Oh, it took a little bit off that fastball. And now the count full to Ventura. Automatic start for Perez and Alfonso.
I want the ball outside. From our rooftop camera, you saw Javi Lopez go on the outside corner. I'll tell you, Javi Lopez, now there's a guy that must flinch a lot. He must be paranoid when he calls a pitch on this staff. Going away.
Runners go, ball 4. And the bases are loaded. So Millwood, who was perfect through the first 3, has walked 2 in this inning. Around a base hit by Perez. And now the Mets with a 2-out bases loaded situation for Zeile.
Now let's see where the Braves, how they play him. Now Andrew Jones is going the other way on Todd Zeile. Todd Zeile can stop the ball the other way, and the bases are loaded with Mets. So Todd Zeile batting against Millwood with 2 outs. Now you'll watch Andrew Jones. Now see, he's shading a little bit the other way on Zeile. But the rest of the defense pretty much straight away.
Millwood deals. Upstairs, ball 1.
And they go away. So they went away on Piazza, Ventura, and now Zeile.
Zeile, a .255 hitter with runners in scoring position. He has 2 of them there. And another one at first base as the bases are jammed with 2 outs. Off the glove of Lopez, a called strike.
Again, now that's 2 in this game.
Yep.
When the umpire, the home plate umpire, calls it a strike, and the catcher drops the ball, that makes for an uncomfortable relationship behind the plate. When that ball hit that glove, it looked like you hit a piece of concrete. And when you're a catcher, you want to be known as a guy with soft hands, although today it's tougher than ever because they frame that pitch with a stiff arm, and when you have a stiff arm, you have hard hands.
1-1 to Zeile. Big cut and a foul to the screen, and Millwood now with the advantage of ball and 2 strikes.
So you get the 1-2 count. They pitched Piazza, Ventura, and Zeile away. In fact, they missed outside on Ventura with 3 balls on him, and he walked. Right now, Millwood is up on the count 1-2.
Millwood had Ventura 1-2, lost him to a walk. Now he deals to Zeile, breaking ball upstairs.
So every time he's throwing a ball to Zeile, he's trying to put that ball from the middle of the plate out, or preferably out.
So 2-2 to Zeile with the bases loaded. Perez at third, Alfonso at second, Ventura at first. Fastball away. Garcelle will be in motion. Full count, bases loaded, 2 out, everybody will be going.
Now, he has to take a better shot at home plate. He can't be trying to hit the corner.
They're standing at Shea for the payoff pitch to Zeal. Outside ball 4, tie ball game. Millwood's third walk of the inning forces in Perez. 1-1 the score.
And Leo Mazzoni coming out of the Atlanta Braves dugout. Perez scores, ball tied at 1. So the Braves won the Eastern Division last night against the Mets. It would be almost as rewarding for the Mets to secure the wild card by beating the Braves. And certainly, I've got to believe that the Braves would like to see somebody else with that wild card, somebody other than the Mets.
Right now, Leo Mazzoni just trying to settle down Millwood, who was ahead of Ventura 1-2 with 2 out, then walked him. Same deal to Zeal. He walked him to force a run in. Zeal picks up his 79th RBI, and they're still loaded for Jay Payton. Well, if they do that, then the postseason will be assured. And right now, Payton trying to give the Mets the lead against Millwood. 3 walks in the inning. Plus the base hit by Perez. Payton hit it right on the nose his first time up, but it was grabbed by a leaping Furcal. Fastball, 1-0. So Reed's had some time to relax on the bench. Payton, the 7th man to bat in this inning. And they factor in 3 walks, and especially long inning for Kevin Millwood. Now Alfonso at third with Ventura at second and Zeal at first. Upstairs, and Millwood missing badly the first 2 pitches to Payton. 2-0.
Jones is straight away center field now for Jay Payton. They're still trying to go away from the Met hitters.
Millwood from the stretch with the bases loaded.
Wow, that target was way out there.
That was the 34th pitch that Millwood made in this inning. Consider that over the first 3 innings, when he was perfect, he made only 29. Millwood really laboring here in the 4th inning. Remember, he was the guy who had the big 8-1 lead. And the Mets would come back, put up that 10 spot in the 8th inning in late June. 2-1 pitch. Outside and high, and now he's a pitch away from putting the Mets in front. Big advantage for Payton. 3 balls, 1 strike, 2 out, and they're standing again. Millwood ready. Popped him up. Back behind the infield for Kyle with Jones calling him off. And the center fielder, Andrew Jones, makes the catch. So the Mets sent 7 to the plate. 1 of them scored, but they leave the bases loaded. There was just 1 hit plus an error in right field by Sanders. 4 in the books, 1-1. Brought to you by the New York Marriott. Mets pulling even, thanks largely to Millwood's wildness in the 4th inning. Rick Reed's only real mistake, that first inning home run by Andrew Jones. So a 1-1 game as we go to the 5th inning. Millwood, who had a long, laboring type 4th inning on the mound, won't get to rest because he gets right into the batter's box to face Reed. So it'll be Millwood for Colin Jones as we go to the 5th inning. And for the play-by-play, here's Fran Healy.
All right, Howie, and Millwood is 0 for 1 tonight. Javi Lopez being worked on by the Braves trainer. You know what he might be doing? He might be putting
fine tar in his glove.
How about nail polish, you know?
Oh, for the signs.
For the signs, yeah. Some guys used to put tape around their fingers so the pitcher could see the signs. It's 1-0 on Kevin Millwood. Javi Lopez doing the catching tonight. You probably won't see him doing the catching tomorrow night. There's a strike as Reed hits Piazza's target. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Atlanta Braves. What an odyssey for the Braves organization. It all started in Boston. the Boston Red Sox and the Boston Braves. At one time, both occupied the hearts and minds of Boston fans. Braves ended up going to Milwaukee. Breaking ball down low, 2 balls and 2 strikes. In fact, the Braves used to be called the Red Stockings. They wore red stockings. They had a manager around the turn of around 1900 as Millwood fouls the ball off. And the manager felt that the red dye in the stockings was not good for your health. So he got rid of the red stockings. The Braves changed their name, but they were in Boston. They changed it to the Braves, the Boston Braves. And the Red Sox said, we will take red stockings. That's how they got their name, the Boston Red Sox.
Maybe they want to rethink that now.
Swung on and missed. Millwood goes down, 1 out. So 1 man down. And tune to Fox Sports Net every night at 11 for the New York edition of the Regional Sports Report. Home teams news, local stories, and regional highlights. Get all your sports info from the only region you care about. Yanks get another shot. Giants prepare for the Titans. Lasorda's Golden Triumph and much, much more on the Regional Sports Report.
Yankees are trailing their game 5-0 in the 4th inning in Tampa, taking a shot at nailing down the American League East. 5 strikeouts for Reed.
Rafael Furcal, the batter. It's 0-1. He's 0 for 2 in his ball game. Furcal will be followed by Andrew Jones. Whoa. Down low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Big crowd on hand, hoping the Mets can secure that wild card berth. Then it'll be on to the playoffs. Braves will try their darndest to stop it. There's the looper, caught by Fonzie. 2 down. So 2 men out here at the top of the 5th inning. And the batter now will be Andrew Jones. He had a home run and a double. Speaking of home runs, as you look at the crowd here at Shea Stadium, the Houston first baseman, Jeff Bagwell, hit a 3-run home run, number 46 on the season for Bags. As Andrew Jones takes the ball.
Puts him 2 behind Bonds and 4 behind Sosa for the National League lead.
You tend to forget his stats during the course of a season unless the Mets are playing against Houston. But Bagwell again having a superb season. 2-0 on Andrew Jones. How did the Braves find Andrew Jones on that little island? There's a strike. A Bird Dog Scout song recommended him to the Braves. The Braves went down, looked at him, signed him. John Sherhost told me that he was a geography teacher for 4 years and he didn't know where the island was, never heard of it. There's a fly ball, deep right field. Bell going back. Oh, what a play! Derek Bell. Now that might be the play of the year. Makes the grab, bangs off the wall. Take a look at it again and again and again. Oh, Derek Bell, what a play. Might be the play of the year. We're all tied at 1. And we'll be back. Well, is he healthy or is he hurt? What a play by Derek Bell, but did he re-injure that leg?
Well, if he's going to do it, it's because of the velocity of the impact that he makes with this wall. But he knows where the wall is, and yet he's got to concentrate on the ball. And that left knee goes hard into the plexiglass.
There's a strike to Mike Bordick. 0-1 on the Mets shortstop. Rick Reed was very happy with that play. That will challenge the play of the year that I thought was the play of the year tonight. Anyways, when we talk about Jay Payton making that play in San Francisco, this one might be better.
Now the concern is for the leg.
0-2 on Mike Bordick. The Mets fighting to secure that wild card berth. A win tonight could do it as Bordick takes down low. We're all tied at 1. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning here at Shea, and there is a big crowd on hand. Second game in his 3-game series. Keep in mind tomorrow night, Greg Maddux will be on a mound against Bobby Jones. Maddux going for win number 20. He's fighting for that Cy Young Award. Popped up. Javi Lopez makes the grab.
Well, make up your own mind. We referred to the Jay Payton catch made in San Francisco earlier in this show. You think Bell was better? Well, you need a frame of reference. Let's go back to early May at Pac-Bell Park and watch the leap to take a home run away.
That's a great play right there. But is the Bell play better?
I think this Payton play was just a little bit better.
But there was no pain. Remember what Bill Parcells said? Don't tell me about the pain, show me the baby. And you want to make sure that Bill gets credit for that, by the way. That's quite a line. Popped up, center field. Andrew Jones makes the grab. 2 down. I don't know if you want to say that when, you know, a woman is in labor, but it is quite a line by Bill Parcells, outstanding former football coach.
Ever sensitive.
He certainly is. But make sure when you use that quote, you give credit.
Now, of course, the Mets being sensitive to Derek Bell's knee, the fact that he's putting on the batting helmet, ready to come out on deck with Timo Perez coming up, was a good sign in and of itself. But he appeared to be in very significant discomfort anyway. Can't characterize somebody else's pain. He wasn't writhing on the bench, but he looked like he was bothered quite a bit by it. Fred Haina took a big, long look.
Timo Perez fouls the ball off. So it's 0-1 on Perez. He's 1 for 2. He has a single. And he also probably would have had an infield hit if Rafael Furcal didn't have a shotgun for a throwing arm. No balls, 1 strike on Perez. He'll be followed by Derek Bell. Perez takes up high, 1-1. Beautiful night for a ball game here in Flushing, New York. Second game of this 3-game series. The Mets will wind up their regular season play over the weekend with the Montreal Expos. And the 1-1 pitch. Bullet in the right field. Extra bases for Perez. Sanders picks it up. Perez says, I want 3. And he got it. So Timo Perez showing some real good foot speed.
Any chance the Braves had at making a play at third went for naught when the relay throw here is bobbled. Sanders gets to it. Lockhart can't hold on to it. Perez, even though he went for that head-first slide, is in easy. Sanders was playing him around to right center, so there was no way he had enough time to cut this ball off to prevent extra bases, let alone 3. But Perez was thinking triple all the way, and once that ball went off Lockhart's glove, it became academic. So for Timo Perez, unless they score 2 and 1 because of the dropped relay throw, and I don't think they will, it'll be a triple, the first one by Perez.
Well, Bobby Valentine is going to remove Derek Bell from the ball game. He made a spectacular play in right field, but it might be very costly to the Mets.
Pitch hitting for Derek Bell. Number 18.
So Derek Bell limps back into the dugout, and Darrell Hamilton will be the batter. Bell leaves the ball game. He lined out and struck out. We're going to take a look at that catch again. Back at the top of the 5th. Ball's hit hard by Andrew Jones.
And Bell with that left knee going hard into the plexiglass. That's the injury. Watch the left knee make contact at pretty much full speed. Ooh. And Bell, although he made a brilliant catch, knew right away that there might be some ramifications.
How did he hold on to that ball? So Bell is out of the game, and he is in a lot of pain. Fred Haina, trainer with the Mets, along with Scott Lawrenson. Got Lenny Harris, who is the doctor in waiting. Darrell Hamilton is pinch hitting for Derek Bell. Perez on third. He fakes down the line. Hamilton takes the ball. 1-0 on Hamilton. We're all tied at 1 here in the 5th inning. The Mets in pursuit of the wild card berth in the National League for the 2nd straight year. And boy, would they like to do it against the Braves. The Braves did it last night. The Mets would like to do it tonight. Hamilton takes the ball, so it's 2-0 on Darryl Hamilton.
Well, Timo Perez was trying to distract Kevin Millwood here. Millwood's working from the windup rather than the stretch. So he's hoping to make Millwood flinch and thus balk, but Perez wasn't able to pull it off.
There's a strike, 2-1.
One thing, Fran, that needs to be mentioned as far as Derek Bell is concerned, that the left knee, which he banged up tonight, is the same one on which he went hard into a railing here several weeks ago. So that's twice now he's really banged up that knee. Mets have the luxury, of course, of being virtually assured now of a playoff spot with a week to go before the playoffs begin, but this is how you exacerbate an injury. You ram it hard at full speed into plexiglass.
What a play by Derek Bell, but it cost him and it cost the Mets. Hamilton is the batter. If Hamilton gets a hit here, it costs Millwood the injury to Bell. So it's 2-1 on Darryl Hamilton. Look at that. Wow. Swung on and missed. 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, watching Perez run down that third baseline trying to intimidate Millwood reminds me of Jackie Robinson used to do that, from what I'm told. And speaking of Jackie Robinson, Roger Kahn was at the park tonight. And there's a hard hit ball right field. Base hit. So Hamilton, base hit off Millwood. Perez scores the go-ahead run. So the injury to Bell hurt the Mets, and hurt Millwood.
Players talk all the time, regardless of which sport, about picking each other up. Darryl Hamilton just picked up not only Derek Bell, but also Rick Reed. But certainly Bell, who made that spectacular catch with the Braves batting in the top of the 5th inning. And now Hamilton lines one that falls just in front of Sanders, who got a good jump on that ball.
Edgardo Alfonzo, the battery drives it deep to left field. Gone! Home run, Edgardo Alfonzo, and the Mets are taking a 4-1 lead. How about that?
Before his prior at bat, he's just been an extra base hit machine now for pretty much the last month. Alfonso's 25th home run, 2 behind his career high of last year. But Alfonso has given the Mets some breathing room as they take a 4-1 lead.
Boy, is this joint jumping. Shea Stadium. Piazza takes a strike.
And no question about this, as Millwood left the fastball up. And Alfonso turned on it. You knew pretty well on contact, so that ball was gone.
0-1 pitch to Piazza. Hit off the end of the bat for Cal. Throws the ball hard to Galarraga. And that'll do it for the Mets. But here in the 5th, they pick up 3. And that guy does it again. Edgardo Alfonzo, a 2-run blast. We played 5 here at Shea, and it's 4-1.
Playoffs are just around the corner for hockey players and their fans. The season is just around the corner. The Rangers forward Theo Fleury joins us here, and he's watching the Mets with this lead here. And Theo, you had a chance to take a little BP today, and we know you can do it on the ice surface. How'd you do in BP?
I didn't do too bad. It's been a while since I swung a bat, but you know, it was just a thrill to be down on the field, and I got a chance to meet a couple of the guys, and so it was good. And they're winning, so that makes it even better.
Well, I know that you were talking to Mike Piazza, and you were a catcher back in the day when you were still playing more than one sport.
Yeah, a long time ago, when I was about 12. The team I played for, we were 1 game away from going Little League World Series, and I was a catcher, but I don't think I would have made it as a catcher this time.
All right, well, we're going to get back to action as Chipper Jones flies out to right field. One quick question about the Rangers. Again, the season's around the corner. We know you want to atone for a little bit of last year. There have been some changes. What's up ahead?
Well, there's no question that, we're all going to be better. And we have to be better. And so far, camp's been really good. And the new coaching style and new coaching staff, I think it's going to be a great year for us.
All right, Theo, thanks for stopping by. Good luck this year with Blue Shirts.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Theo Fleury with us, the former ball player, taking some BP and enjoying the action tonight, fellas.
All right, Matty, 1 out. Andres Galarraga, the batter. He's 0 for 1. Let's say 0 for 2. And he takes a strike from Rick Reed. Rick Reed and the Mets have a 3-run lead. It's 4-1 in favor of the Mets. Galarraga, 39 years old. It's jammed at the fly ball at deep right field. Perez is there, and he makes the grab. 2 down.
Well, that's 3 straight balls that the Braves have hit with authority to right field when you go back to the Andruw Jones fly ball in the 5th on which Bell got hurt. That was the 3rd out in the 5th inning, and now Chipper Jones and Andres Galarraga, each hitting it very well the other way against Reed, but simply long outs.
And Bobby Bonilla is the batter, batting 257, 0 for 2 tonight. Reed's pitch is a strike, so it's 0-1 on Bobby Bonilla. Bobby's buddy and ex-teammate with the Pirates, Barry Bonds, having a great year with those Giants. Zeal takes it himself. That will do it for the Braves here in the top of the 6th. They go quietly. 3 up, 3 down. We played 5.5 in front of a big crowd here in Shea, and it's 4-1.
The great Shea.
Well, it's time for the Coors Light Silver Bullet 6. Regina Johnson from Lanesville, New York is tonight's lucky fan. This means, Regina, that if the Mets hit a home run this inning, you will be our Coors Light Silver Bullet 6 winner and win a Coors Light hat and Fox Sports Net t-shirt. And Robin Ventura will lead it off for the Mets. Kevin Millwood and the Braves trailing the Mets by 3 runs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. It'll be Ventura, Zeal, and Payton. Base hit right field. So Robin Ventura leading it off here in the 6th with a base hit.
Third baseman, number 9, Zeal.
Remember Millwood, after a tough 4th inning, when the Mets left the bases loaded, scoring the tying run, got the first 2 easily in the 5th inning. And after that Perez triple, he gave up the hit to Hamilton, the homer to Alfonso. And now a leadoff hard hit single by Ventura here may leave you wonder how much more he has in the tank. And under the circumstances with the Braves having really nothing much to play for, unless you consider them going after that best overall record. Not going too much longer with Millwood.
Todd Zeal takes a breaking ball for a strike, so it's 0-1 on Zeal.
What do you think, Fran, after a situation where you clinch a division, you've got 5 days left in the season, can you muster up enough enthusiasm to make an issue out of trying to win one more game with the Giants for home field?
I think right here, the Braves playing the Mets is good for both teams. The Braves don't want the Mets to secure the wild card against them. The Mets want to do it against the Braves. If they do it tomorrow night, they'll square up again and fight. As you look at Wes Helms at third base, they will fight hard again tomorrow night because of the word we talked about last night, confidence. The Mets need to increase their confidence level against Bobby Cox and the Braves, and they can do it. They can still do it in this series.
Bobby Cox, though, resting Chipper Jones the rest of the way now.
He doesn't. Bobby Cox, I mean, he's not going to publicly say it, but he'd rather not see the Mets in the playoffs.
Well, you know, the Mets made it tough on them.
Yeah.
Last year. I mean, you know, why would the Braves be that concerned? The Mets haven't beaten them.
But there's a high fly ball left field. Bobby Bonilla under it and makes the grab. And he takes his time, and Ventura tags at first and goes to second. Good base running by Robin Ventura. And that's going to be part of our cheap game summary.
Well, Robin was a ways down the line between first and second. Had a lot of ground to cover, but the cheap game summary dominated by the work of the Mets in the 4th and 5th innings. After that, Andruw Jones home run off of Reed in the 1st. So Alfonso gave them some breathing room with that 2-run home run. And the Mets now, thanks to Ventura's base running, have another runner in scoring position with only one out.
So Ventura on second base. We get the word from Jay Horowitz, public relations director for the Mets. Bruised left knee and left shin for Derek Bell. He's day-to-day.
Some concerns when you consider Benny Agbayani.
Yep.
You know, still bothered by the hamstring. Ran softly on it today. So Agbayani and Bell now somewhat questionable down to the last couple of days of the season here.
So it's 0-1 on Jay Payton. He takes outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Payton 0 for 2 tonight. Robbed of a base hit by the man he's competing with for the Rookie of the Year award, Rafael Furcal. See Terry Mulholland, Scott Kamenecki throwing in the Braves bullpen. And a 1-1 pitch. Base hit center field. Here comes Ventura. Jones can throw. 1 out, not in time. So Ventura with heads-up base running, tagging up, going from first to second, then score on a base hit off the path of Jay Payton.
Little things like that are what teammates appreciate, because Robin Ventura by no means is fast, but that tag-up allows him to score here. Now, as Jones picks this ball up, Ventura's just rounding third, but the throw just a shade late, and Ventura slides across the plate with a 5th Met run. So Robin Ventura, aggressive on the bases here, helping build a run that gives the Mets a 4-run lead, and probably takes Millwood out of the game as Bobby Cox on his way to the mound has now signaled to the pen. You don't expect Ventura to help much with his legs, but he certainly did in building this run in the 6th inning. It gets rid of Millwood. Scott Kamenecki will come on in.
And this call to the bullpen has been brought to you by AT&T. Get local and long distance together by calling 1-800-ATT-4ALL. Well, folks, earlier this evening, Nancy King threw out the ceremonial first pitch, and she went underhanded. She went down under, like in Sydney, Australia. She and her husband, Willis, participated in Fox Sports Net's annual Charity Week telethon, and in exchange for their donation to Madison Square Garden's Cheering for Children Foundation, they received this unique opportunity. We want to thank the Kings and everyone who helped us raise money for the foundation. Stay tuned to Fox Sports Net for information about next Charity Week. And don't forget, throwing out that first ball will be on the menu. Kevin Millwood threw the first ball. Mike Bordick, the batter. Scott Kamenecki got a relief, but Bordick takes up high, ball 1. Bordick 0 for 2 in tonight's ball game. It's supposed to be great weather here in the New York area again tomorrow. The Braves and the Mets go at it. Ball gets past Javi Lopez. That's the 3rd ball tonight that Javi boxed up. I'm sure the pitching staff making notes.
Looked like either a changeup or a flat slider. And Javi Lopez has had an unusual amount of trouble in this game holding pitches. Yeah, all right, that ball had a little more movement on it than the first 2 that he dropped in. Watch this ball move to the outside and down. That much. Not a wicked movement on it. I have no idea why Lopez is having that much trouble.
He probably took his eye off that ball. Just like little leaguers, it'll happen to big leaguers. You take your eye off the ball, there's a little movement. It hits you in an uncomfortable part of the glove, and the next thing you know, you're chasing it if you're a catcher. Bordick swings and misses. 2 balls and 1 strike. So 2-1 on Bordick. He'll be followed by Rick Reed. 1 man out, runner on second base with very good speed, Jay Payton. A run has scored here in the 6th inning. Robin Ventura with heads-up base running helped the Mets. It was a fly ball off the bat of Zeal to left field. Really an ordinary fly ball, and Ventura tagged on first, moved to second. Payton base hit to center field. Ventura with that blazing speed coming around to score. balls and 1 strike on Bordick. Can't be surprised at ball 4 with the pitcher hitting next. So Scott Kamenecki will take on Rick Reed with runners on first and second and 1 man out.
And Rick Reed, along with Kevin Millwood, who started this game for Atlanta, tied for second in the National League in sacrifice bunts with 14. So this is a situation that Reed is very proficient at. In fact, Peter Bergeron of the Expos also has 14. Ricky Gutierrez of the Cubs has 16, but Bergeron and Gutierrez are position players who get far more opportunities in the batter's box than Rick Reed, or for that matter, Kevin Millwood. So Wes Helms, the third baseman, in to talk to Kamenecki about how the infield's going to play it here. One thing Reed has proven is that in this situation, he can get the bunt down.
Reed takes ball 1. By the way, I mentioned earlier how Roger Kahn is here at the ball game tonight. He's got a new book out, The Head of the Game. Baseball seen from the pitcher's mound. Roger Kahn, a great author of the famous book, The Boys of Summer.
Maybe the most famous baseball book ever written.
Still a huge baseball fan. 1-0 pitch. Reed takes a strike, so it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Braves had Galarraga charging from first. For Cal, it's tucked back in to cover second base.
One ball and 1 strike on Rick Reed. Mets leading 5-1. Reed bunts the ball back to Kamenecki, who'll go to third. They got him. Good strong throw from the pitcher to Helms, the third baseman. They get Payton on a force play.
So for one of the relatively few times this year in this situation, Rick Reed bunts the ball too hard. A perfect hop for Kamenecki, who had time to set. Remember now, Jay Payton's got good speed. He's trying to get as big a lead off the second base as he can. But because his bunt had some chop to it, it gave Kamenecki time to set and make a strong throw. Don't get Payton by all that much. But Reed, the way he chopped that bunt to Kamenecki, made it easy for Kamenecki to get that strong throw across.
So the batter with Rick Reed on first and Mike Bordick on second will be Timo Perez, 2 for 3. He has a double and he has a triple in this game. Perez batting .289. And he hits a bouncer to Galarraga. The big cat takes it himself, and that'll do it for Timo Perez and the Mets here in the bottom of the 6th inning. But they pick up 1 run after 6 completed. Shea, the Mets have a 5-1 lead. Skyline, Manhattan, most famous city in the world. Hustle and bustle of Midtown. The place jumps morning, noon, and night. And Shea Stadium is jumping tonight as the Mets try to secure the wild card berth in the National League playoffs. They're trying to do it against their enemy, the Atlanta Braves. And if they do it, Charlie Samuel and the clubhouse will be ready to congratulate the New York Mets team. It'll be the 2nd year in a row they go to the playoffs. It's 5-1. The Mets on top of the Braves. Big crowd on in. The second game of this 3-game series, and Bobby Valentine will lead the Mets, he hopes, into the playoffs. There's Charlie Samuel preparing the champagne for after the game, and then it'll be business as usual tomorrow as the Mets take on the Braves. But nobody puts the champagne on ice like Charlie Samuel.
Well, the man's had experience, you know. In 1986, the Mets won the division and the World Series here at Shea Stadium. They clinched the 88 division championship here at Shea Stadium. And Charlie's had opportunities to do it before. Last year, he had to haul that stuff to Cincinnati after the final game of the regular season. Charlie wasn't around here in 1969 when the Mets won the division, the pennant, and the World Series. All of them right here at Shea Stadium. So, nothing we haven't seen here before, but all celebrations, however muted this one will most likely be, is still significant and enjoyable to all of those participating. And as we go to the 7th inning, the Mets with a 5-1 lead go after Javi Lopez, Reggie Sanders, and Keith Lockhart. With Rick Reed in control, he's allowed 4 hits. The Mets have 6. Lopez 1 out of 2, struck out looking, single to left, and a curveball misses inside, 1-0. Lopez has had all kinds of problems receiving the ball tonight behind the plate for Atlanta.
I'm sure as a catcher with this Braves staff, he must be flinching.
Popped up to the infield. Ventura call. Whoa! And uncomfortably puts it away. You saw him sneak a peek at where Bordick was.
He was looking at Bordick like Bordick was going to catch that ball. But Ventura makes the catch, and now we're going to take a look at our Toyota in-game box score. For Cal 0 for 3. You got to shut him down to beat those Braves, and it is the Braves box score. Andrew Jones, a home run, 2 for 3 in his ball game. Lopez with a hit, Sanders with a hit. But the Mets have all the runs except one. They lead 5-1 here in the 7th.
Reggie Sanders, 1 out of 2. It was interesting talking to Bobby Valentine and Steve Phillips before the game tonight about the Mets' mindset in terms of clinching a wild card spot, what kind of celebration there would be. And Bobby was pretty candid in saying he doesn't think that his team has anything to apologize for. Nice play by Ventura. Sanders is out, 2 men away. By winning something that some people consider something of, you know, not a booby prize, but a consolation prize. He says, listen, either way, we're in. But more importantly, he says, why should we feel any less about ourselves than the St. Louis Cardinals or the San Francisco Giants or even the Braves, who have only won a couple of more games over the course of 157 than we have, when we're all going to be part of the same party after the season anyway. 1 ball and no strikes to Lockhart. Steve Phillips took a more low-key approach to it. He says, listen, I don't know about what kind of celebration there's going to be, but I know if we get in, I'm going to pour champagne over somebody's head. So he wasn't naming names, wasn't giving away any targets, but whatever celebration there will be will no doubt be energetic, but I think somewhat muted.
The feeling of the champagne would certainly be better than tea. Wasn't Steve Phillips yesterday talking about some tea?
Yeah, because he was asked if the Mets were to have lost last night, and so would have Arizona and the Dodgers, the Mets would have reported to work today, already having clinched the wild card. Steve was asked how he'd react to that. Lockhart with a fly ball. Perez started it. Now back to put it away. And Steve said, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to come in early for tea and crumpets. That wasn't necessary. The Mets are planning to clinch it themselves on the field. And they're 6 out away as the fans here in Washington.
Toyota in-game Mets box score. Bottom of the 7th inning. Perez 2 for 4, having a nice night playing right field. And Darrell Hamilton had to go in and replace Derek Bell in his ball game. Alfonso with the home run, his 25th home run of the year. Having another good, solid all-around year. The second baseman, the Fonz. Peyton 1 for 3 in pursuit of that Rookie of the Year award. It's the Mets and the Braves. You can see the home plate umpire looking behind them. They're keeping time. And after 2 minutes, they say, play ball.
So Hamilton, who had that big base hit, which put New York in front of the 5th inning, takes outside for ball 1. Hamilton in there because Derek Bell is not, after Bell hurt his knee running into the right field wall. And Kamenicki misses away. 2 balls, no strikes to Hamilton. So the Mets have scored in 3 straight innings, grabbing the 5-1 lead. Fastball away, and it's 3-0. Kamenicki walked the first batter that he faced in the 6th inning. That was Mike Bordick. He got the next 2, but he's behind here, 3-0. Right there for a strike, 3-1. Hamilton to be followed by Alfonso and Piazza here in the home 7th. Tried to hold his swing. They want to check the third. No swing, says Dale Scott. Lead-off walk to Hamilton. Well, with the season winding down to its last few days, now you get the vote for the Avis We Try Harder Player of the Year. To cast your vote for the Mets player you feel most displayed extra effort, both on and off the field, visit foxsports.com/New York through tomorrow, the 28th. That'll be the last day. There was a 2-week voting period, after which Avis will present a check for $10,000 to MSG's Cheering for Children Foundation in the name of that player. Alfonso, one of the contenders, takes on the inside corner, 0-1. Fonzie, 25 home runs now, 27 last year, 2 RBIs tonight, get him up to 92, so still an outside shot now, getting to 100 again. Quick check of Hamilton, he's back.
You take a look at the British Airways Fonzie's first 6 years in the big leagues, 325 this season. He just gets better and better and better.
1 ball, 1 strike to Alfonso.
Complete player. Fonzie plays very good defense. He's a good all-around hitter. Hit behind the runner, hit the ball over the wall, drive in 100 runs, 25 home runs. Hit his 25th home run in a game tonight.
Looped over second, and that ball's going to drop. Hamilton hangs on at second. Alfonso with a base hit. The Mets have 2 on with nobody out.
Well, Fonzie's been a bright spot with the Mets ever since coming to the big leagues. He's been a solid all-around player. In the 5th inning, bang. High fastball. He drives it over the left field wall. Home run number 25 for the Fonz.
So now Piazza with 2 on and nobody out. Mike, a couple of fly ball outs. Also grounded to short. Mets trying to bust this one open now in the 7th inning. They've got 2 on. They have a 5-1 lead. And are 6 outs away from making the last few days of the season a time to gradually prepare for the playoffs next week. Well, now Lopez has painted his fingernails, so we know that there shouldn't be too much trouble for the pitchers to see the signs. Showed you Javi doing that bit several innings ago when it appeared that starting pitcher Kevin Millwood was having trouble picking him up. Now Kamenicki perhaps having some of those same problems. Remember, the Mets have a runner on second base here, Darrell Hamilton, as well as Alfonso at first. Maybe so concerns over what's going on at second base, too. It's easy to spot from there. Of course, that's a tight lens. But it's the fluorescent polisher, so it appears to be fluorescent on those fingers of Javi Lopez.
And the other thing is, with the man on second base, Kamenicki probably just wanted to either change the signs or make sure of the signs. There's our center field camera. You can tell those signs right there. Kamenicki stepped off the rubber and said, give me a close-up.
Everybody wants face time.
That's right.
And the 0-1. Down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike to Piazza. Mike started to play 8th in the National League in hitting. Dropped 2 points, batting at .328. A chance for run production here. And Hamilton at second, Alfonso at first. Fouled straight back, 1 and 2.
That's the pitch that Mike Piazza, when he's on, usually drives it deep to right field. We've seen him many times behind on the fastball out over the plate because he's so strong. He can drive that ball a long way the other way.
You see where Andrew Jones is playing him in right center. That's where Piazza hit it 2 at-bats ago, and he hit it to right field. Reggie Sanders in right is playing him as though he were a left-handed pull hitter. Breaking ball for Cal to Lockhart on to Galarraga, and they turn the double play. A 6-4-3 double play. That sends Hamilton to third, but now there are 2 outs.
A lot of times you look at the shortstop, you look at his range from his right to his left. For Cal, with good speed, is able to get this ball in a hurry. Piazza off balance when he hit that ball, but looking for Cal, charge that ball, flips it quickly to Lockhart. And Lockhart with the strong throw over to Galarraga, and they get Piazza. Once again, the quickness of Cal charging that ball and then getting it to Keith Lockhart was key in turning that double play. Mike Piazza was not happy with his swing, just the way he flipped the bat behind him and sailed through the air.
0-1 to Ventura. Robin singled and scored in the 6th inning. It was his base running that last time up as his stint evolved on the bases. That had as much to do with that run as even the base hit which started the inning. Tagging and going to second base. And challenging Andrew Jones, just beating the throw home. Outside 1-1. Ventura scored on a hard hit single to center by Jay Payton. So the Mets with a 5-1 lead have Hamilton at third with 2 outs. Kamenicki ready. And a breaking ball. 2-1 to Ventura. Derek Bell taking it in from the dugout after injuring his left leg.
You wonder how long he will be out. He hit that wall in right field tonight harder than he hit the wall in right field a couple weeks ago.
Ventura lines one to right center. Sanders after it, won't get it. Hamilton scores. Ventura on his way to second. And the Mets have tacked one on. It's 6-1 New York. 23rd double of the year for Robin Ventura.
Well, we talked about the Braves, middle of the lineup. You got to shut them down to beat him. You got to shut down the Mets to beat them. And for the Mets to win in the playoffs, they've got to have Batman hot, Fonzie hot, Piazza hot, and Zeal hot. And here's Ventura putting a good swing in that ball, hitting the ball hard into the gap in right center field. And driving in a run. So it's 6-1. The Mets on top of the Braves.
Well, Ventura's 81st RBI of the year gives the Mets a 5-run advantage. And now it's Zeal. No balls, 1 strike to Todd. Lenny Harris giving Darrell Hamilton the business about something or other. Something that he does a lot of. Derek Bell not in there. So Hamilton, who picked him up, has everybody in the dugout smiling. 0-2 to Zeal. Hey, by the way, remember last night, if you look at Bell and Hamilton, a lot of that was Derek Bell. Remember last night when Todd Zeal had those goggles, they were tinted glasses on. Well, Brand, you were right. It turned out that because it was so windy at home plate, he has bad allergies, and he said the wind would make his eyes itch, and so he went to the glasses.
Yeah, if you have trouble with your eyes watering,
then you're an emotional person. That's right. Long throw from Helms. Did Galarraga hold the bag? He did. The bag and the ball. It's a long throw from Helms, who sailed a couple way wide of the mark against the Mets in Atlanta last week. This time, Galarraga has all he can do to hold the ball, hold the bag, and to stand up straight. A good play by Galarraga. The Mets settle for 1 in the 7th. We go to the 8th. 6-1 New York. Are now 6 outs away from the playoffs, and Diamond View Suites are available for the postseason. Enjoy the playoff games at the luxury of a fully catered Diamond View Suite. Each suite holds 15 people and has a great view of the field. For more information, call 718-565-4310 during business hours.
Number 15, DJ Surhoff.
We go to the 8th inning. B.J. Surhoff will be the pinch hitter for Scott Kamenicki. And Rick Reed still in there as we hit the 8th inning. Misses outside for ball 1. Surhoff, quadriceps problems, his left leg. Reduced pretty much to pinch hitting over the last couple of weeks. He got hurt in similar fashion to Derek Bell, running hard into a wall. So they've used him pretty much as a pinch hitter and nothing more lately. Foul tip, 2 balls and a strike.
when they picked up Surhoff, they felt they needed him if they were to beat the Mets this year. So they went after a New York kid to help beat the Mets. They were able to get him. Surhoff didn't really.
In the air to right field and deep. Perez at the wall. Can't hold on. Surhoff on his way to second. And he's limping as he goes in there.
Boy, he really is limping badly.
That's why he's just pinch hitting. So Perez made the try, couldn't hold on. And the Braves, of course, will run immediately.
Not only could he not hold on, but that ball almost popped out of his glove and over the fence.
Surhoff leaves. Mark DeRosa will come on as the pinch runner.
Take a look at Timo Perez pursue this ball with a great deal of energy. And Surhoff jogging down to first base with that bad leg. Now watch Perez. Ball hits off the glove and almost goes over the wall. Wow. And Surhoff said, do I have to go to second? Wow. An error on the right fielder Perez. Bill Shannon. Must be in a cranky mood tonight.
Well, 0-1 to Furcal. I'll tell you what, when you think of the way Bell approached the right field wall, it was fearless. I think you could tell in Perez's pursuit that he was a little concerned about distance to the wall and was trying to avoid hard contact at all costs.
Shows intelligence.
Yeah, well,
he got an error for
he's still standing, right?
So we saw an error picked up because of hustle tonight. And an error. Uh-oh. Piazza hit with that foul tip.
No balls, 2 strikes, and 1 hurt catcher. But he's used to that. Timo Perez, not quite as comfortable. Not the comfort should have anything to do with it. Not as reckless would be the better term going after that fly ball as Bell was.
Who's the official scorer tonight? He's looking for Bill Shannon. He just turned around. He thought he might be on the other side of that fence. There's Bill Shannon with Roger Kahn.
Under siege.
Tom Keegan. They're trying to convince him. Do the right thing, Bill.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, Bill was smiling, so I guess he's going to stick to his guns. Roger Kahn, the fella in the glasses on the left. Tom Keegan from the New York Post.
I don't think Tom believes what Bill's justification was for that call.
Well, he's not offended. Didn't get personal. And the 1-2 to Furcal is in there for a call. Strike 3. Rick Reed with his 6th strikeout.
Furcal going down a few times tonight on strikes, twice to be exact. Here it is again. Ball coming back, getting that inside corner. Another look. Look at the movement on that ball. Gets the hitter to flinch, and then you take it for a strike. Furcal knew he just took a good pitch. We talked about Philadelphia when Rick Reed from the first pitch on wasn't himself. Tonight he was hitting the glove.
The only one who's a little bit behind, not Reed, but the guy working the K corner up there, he was 2 shy. Reed has 6. We saw 4 up there. They only brought 4.
That's a problem.
That's not showing much faith.
No.
Breaking ball away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, if Reed wins his ball game, he could be 11-5 on the season.
I think they're doing some improvising. There you go. I guess they were just trying to affix it, but you might better tell them to put 1 more up after that. 1-1 to Andrew Jones, and that's in the dirt. Maybe the best game that Rick Reed pitched all year was against the Atlanta Braves in July. He went 7 shutout innings, walking 1 and striking out 6 in a 4-0 win. He also pitched 7 shutout innings here at Shea against Houston, winning 1-0 at the end of August. But, you know, the games against the Braves certainly have a lot more significance. More attention is placed on them, so Rick Reed saving a couple of his best performances, that one in July and certainly the one tonight for the Atlanta Braves. Behind here, 3-1. Remember, Wendell has been throwing in the bullpen. Goes John Franco. 3-1 pitch. Fouled away, full count. A lot of people think that one of these years, Andrew Jones is going to win an MVP.
Oh, he's got a great chance. The Braves were concerned this year because they don't think he'll finish in the top 10, and they feel he deserves a lot of votes for the MVP.
3 guys have to pitch to him, but not tonight. On the outside corner. And they've got to do some fast work up in that K corner. Pete Dunham, that's 7. They're still well on. Now, see, they're just catching up to the last batter.
Had to take time to have a little sip. Now take a look at Reed hit this glove. He's been doing it all night. And he has a 6-1 lead. Bang! Right where Piazza wanted it.
So Jones down on strikes. They've got 6 out of 7. Wes Helms, his first plate appearance. Remember, he took over defensively for Chipper Jones in the 6th inning. So Wes Helms only been to bat 3 times. No balls, 1 strike. Batted .288 at AAA this year with 20 homers and 88 runs batted in. Bouncer up the middle. Alfonso sets. Side retired. So the Mets 3 outs away from guaranteeing themselves postseason baseball. Rick Reed, no hits, just an error here in the 8th.
Mets, Braves, tomorrow at 7 on Fox Sports Net.
What's the best part of playing in the major leagues? It's standing at the plate in front of a packed house of fans cheering at the top of their lungs. Feeling the electricity in the air. And then coming through in the clutch. It's a magical feeling. An experience we share together. Thanks for being part of the game.
Charles Schwab, all the sports action from around the country, including Major League Baseball highlights and much more, all coming up on the National Sports Report tonight after the game, live here on Fox Sports Net. Thought Rick Reed might try to hide from Dave Wallace and Bobby Valentine after the top of the 8th inning. Reed does not have a complete game this year. He has a 6-1 lead. Perhaps the Mets will even add to that, but usually when all the coaches, the manager come over, that means thank you and arrive home safely. Have a nice night. But Rick Reed has certainly done his part. Mets gave him some offense. He allowed only 4 hits through 8 innings, and now the Mets are 3 outs from the playoffs.
And he's pitched a game that Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine like to see.
Jay Payton, base hit, his 2nd of the game. So the first pitch from Kevin McGlinchey winds up in center field, and Jay is 2 for 4. McGlinchey, one of 2 changes made. Mark DeRosa, who ran at second base for Surhoff after the pinch double, stays in at shortstop. So Furcal leaves the game. And McGlinchey, the guy who gave up that grand slam single to Robin Ventura last year, on the mound for Atlanta. So he is greeted instantly by the Payton single, and now it's Mike Bordick. Payton running, and Bordick protecting him, fouls it off.
He had such a jump, and it looked like it was a hit and run because Bordick swung at a ball that was tough to handle. Watch this jump. From first base, Payton had a terrific jump, and Bordick tried to hit the ball the other way. The hit and run was on. If he takes the pitch, Payton steals the base easily.
Bordick pushes a bunt to the right side. McGlinchey gets there. Galarraga takes the flip for the first out. Closed captioning has been brought to you by The Wiz, your ticket to entertainment. Now Payton pushed into scoring position. No official word yet on whether they're going to rule that a sacrifice or not. Remember, the Mets have a 5-run lead here. And Bordick may have been doing that on his own. Lenny Harris will bat for Rick Reed.
So Rick Reed, who threw the ball very well tonight out of the ball game, but he was, again, very impressive, hitting Mike Piazza's glove all night long. Even the home run he gave up, it was heading right toward Mike Piazza's glove, and Andrew Jones hit it over the wall.
Nothing and 1 to Lenny Harris. So Rick Reed in position to go 11-5. This will be his final start of the season. Remember, he spent some time on the disabled list. Bruised hand, the oblique muscle. Taken by Harris, 1 ball, 1 strike. But Rick Reed's going to be only the 4th pitcher in the history of the Mets to finish at least 4 games over 500 for 4 straight years. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I mean, think about it now. You just all that's in his company in that category Tom Seaver, Dwight Gooden, and Ron Darling. Gooden did it 8 straight years, Seaver 6, and Darling 4.
And you go back to 1995, and Reed was signed as a 6-year minor league free agent.
It's stopped by Javi Lopez.
That's going to go down as one of the great decisions on the part of the New York Mets as far as the history of their pitching is concerned. Reed had been a struggling major league and minor league pitcher until the Mets picked him up and brought him to the big leagues in '97 when he was 13-9.
Harris down on strikes, 2 men away. Think about that. You know, with all the pretty good pitchers the Mets have had in their organization over the years, and let's face it, in 4 games over 500 is not anything that's going to win you the Cy Young Award. But when you think back to the late 60s and early 70s, those Mets teams didn't hit a whole lot. People like Jerry Koosman and John Matlack, you know, they weren't in position necessarily to win as many games as the brilliant Tom Terrific was able to do. Seaver 311 lifetime wins, but then you get into the 80s and you had Gooden and Darling and Fernandez and Cone. Still only Gooden and Darling among them able to achieve that modest yet somewhat significant milestone when you put it in historical perspective.
You know what's interesting is when you talk to Tom Seaver, he will say the shape of the Mets organization at the time he left, it was good for him to leave or he would have never have won 300 games.
1-0 to Timo Perez. That's what the fans are chanting in the background. Timo.
Timo with a couple of blows in tonight's game, a triple and a single. Should have been a double.
And he did the fans a favor by shortening his name a little bit. Timon Yell is a lot harder to chant than Timo. Timo. 2-1 to Perez. And Rick Reed certainly done his job tonight and is to be congratulated. 2-1 on the way. The slider hits the inside corner. Perez didn't think so. And the count 2-2. Robin Ventura, who by his own admission made a couple of bad plays the last few days, particularly the throwing error last night, but he came back tonight. 2 big hits, some solid base running. RBI in the 7th inning, and the Mets poised to celebrate a playoff spot as that ball gets away from Lopez. And he'll have to hold it third because that was on a pitch off the mound.
Ball's dead. When the ball's dead, 1 from the mound. That's why Peyton goes back to third. If the ball stays on the plain surface, Peyton can take a chance. The ball's alive and Peyton can take a chance, but the ball gets away from the catcher on the pitcher's throw from the rubber. So it's 1 from the mound, 2 from the field of play. Once again, ball ricocheted. Boy, we've seen some balls ricochet off catchers this past week. How about in Philadelphia, 1-1 right in the stands?
That was from Wayne Gomes. Here it's 3-2 to Perez with 2 outs. Peyton now at third. 6-1 New York. We're in the 8th. Helms, he's had throwing problems, but this one's right there. And the side retired. So no runs ahead. And what Bobby Valentine wanted as a bare minimum in March is 3 outs away from reality. In spring training, the first thing you want to do is get to the playoffs. And Benitez is on the verge of nailing a shot. And although Rafael Furcal would flash some leather, the real play of the night was made by Derek Bell. But it cost him. He left the game with a left knee injury. The Mets, though, would score some runs and open the gap. Alfonso a home run. Ventura would double one in. The champagne has been placed on ice by Charlie Samuel. The Mets 3 outs away from popping the corks and clinching a wild card spot. This is our GM game summary.
Ricardo Alfonso, another solid season playing second base for the Mets. Hit his 25th home run in the 5th. Rick Reed threw an outstanding ball game. Hamilton didn't start, but got in the ball game, picked up a single, an RBI, scored 2 runs. Derek Bell with an outstanding play, but he cost him. He had to leave the ball game.
So we go to the 9th inning. Just as last night, with a 7-1 lead, Bobby Cox went to his closer, John Rocker, to try and finish the job and clinch the division. Bobby Valentine does the same. He goes with Benitez, his closer, not a save situation, with the Mets leading 6-1, just trying to end whatever little suspense remains to clinch the playoff spot and start getting ready for the playoffs. 0-1 to Galarraga. Big cut, 0-2. The Mets have been in that wild card spot pretty much all year. There were some times early on where they were a game or two back, fouled away by Galarraga, but really pretty much from the outset this year. Once you got a month or 6 weeks into the season and the standings started to take shape, the Mets were never too far away from that wild card spot. They were on the Braves' heels for a while, even overtook them briefly at the beginning of September. The 0-2 to Galarraga. Fouled away. The Mets will open the playoffs on the road as the wild card. Just where is still up for grabs. Whichever team has the better record between the Giants and Cardinals will represent the Mets' first-round opponent. Right now, that's the Giants. Galarraga hits it to deep center. Payton on the run at the wall. It's gone.
Wow. Well, the big cat takes Armando Benitez way out of here at Shea Stadium. Ball hitting off the support for the cameras out there in center field. So Galarraga with 28 home runs, and that was his 99th RBI of the season. How about his comeback? Nobody else is even in the running for comeback player of the year except Galarraga. Last year, missing the season because of his fight with cancer. He was victorious. He's tested quite a bit now, and he's still clean, and what a year he's had. In fact, the Braves were concerned that the wear and tear of swinging the bat might have a negative effect on his bat, but he's been all right all year.
1-0 to Bonilla, and that's ripped foul. So Benitez gives up his 10th home run of the year. An 0-2 pitch. Galarraga fouled a couple off before he finally caught up with Armando. And the splitter, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Year Benitez only gave up 4 home runs. 10 this year. But the Mets still comfortably in front here, 6-2.
Well, early in the year, Benitez was not throwing the ball that hard, and he was getting burnt early in the year. Then he got that real good fastball back, and he was unbelievably overpowering for a long period of time.
Low to Bonilla. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the 2-2 pitch on the way. Got him with a breaking ball.
Well, the fans reacting not only to the strikeout, but to who Benitez struck out, Bobby Bonilla. Steve Phillips, who went out and got Benitez in a trade a couple years ago, and it was a trade that lifted the Mets to a higher level and set the Baltimore Orioles back a couple years.
Wally Joyner hits for Javi Lopez, and Benitez misses down and away, 1-0. So the veteran Wally Joyner picked up this year as insurance against Galarraga. Fouls it away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, they were very concerned that Galarraga would not be able to hold up. They didn't know if he'd be able to start the season. If he did, would he be able to hold up? Well, they went out and got Wally Joyner. But Galarraga has had an outstanding season for the Braves.
The 1-1 to Joyner. Outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Ray Ordonez heard there was a party possible tonight, so he popped in. Actually, Ray is here because he had to have his arm examined. They'll take the plate out tomorrow. 2-1 to Joyner downstairs. And then Ordonez will wear a splint. Mike Hampton's been to the playoffs the last couple of years with the Houston Astros. The 3-1. That's a strike, full count. Jim Duquette, one of the assistant general managers, alongside Steve Phillips. And a payoff pitch. Up the middle and on through. So on 3-2, Wally Joyner chumps one into center field. And the Braves trying to make it somewhat uneasy for Armando Benitez, and the Mets here in the 9th inning have a run in, 1 out, and now 1 on. And Reggie Sanders will be the batter. Generally speaking, a lot of ball players late in the game that seems pretty well under control. Those who are either already out of the game or don't figure to get in anytime soon, they might take it in from the clubhouse. But when you're on the verge of clinching something, everybody gets into the dugout to see who could become the first one out. So now it's Sanders. Fouled away off of Piazza, 0-1. Sanders a single in 3 trips. Braves now with 6 hits in the game. The Mets with 9.
A long year for Bobby Valentine and the Mets fighting the Braves.
The 0-1. Slider. And it's 0-2.
They all start off even. And this is over, and they head to the playoffs. A new season.
Hamilton, a big part of that run last year, coming back from his injury, contributing tonight. His base hit. Put the Mets in front. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Benitez ready. And a foul ball, still 0-2.
Well, when you celebrate, you have to have champagne in the locker room. And you have to protect everybody's clothes in the locker room. Those are all the lockers that are being secured by Charlie Samuel and his staff.
Charlie leaves no piece of clothing uninsured. Champagne on ice. And the 0-2 to Sanders. He's gone, 2 men away. Oh, Benitez with 2 strikeouts in the inning. And the Mets now an out away from the playoffs.
How about a celebration last night here at Shea Stadium by the Braves, and possibly a celebration again tonight, this time by the Mets. That's what the wild card has done for baseball.
Bobby Valentine says it's no consolation prize, it's worth celebrating. And the fans agree as they come to their feet. Lockhart, the last hope for the Braves. Fastball misses, 1-0. Lockhart, 3 fly ball outs in this game. The 1-0 to Lockhart. Fouled away, a ball and a strike.
Has it ever happened before in baseball where one team celebrates on one night, the other team the next night? Both of them go to the playoffs.
1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The 1-2 to Lockhart. And the Mets are going back to the playoffs.
as the New York Mets for clinching a playoff berth. This marks the first time in club's history that the New York Mets have participated in postseason in consecutive years.
So for the second straight year, the Mets get the wild card. And this time they get a few days to enjoy it before the second season begins 1 week from tonight for the Mets in either San Francisco or St. Louis.
Well, the Mets get to the playoffs as a wild card. And as we mentioned, it all starts anew. Playoffs right around the corner. Mets will get ready for the playoffs along with the Braves, the Giants, and the Cardinals. The Mets will have to wait to see where they will be next week. But they win the wild card. They will celebrate, but they got more business. The business is the playoffs, and they know it.
But at least they can enjoy the final win of the regular season that has significance, a lot more than they did last year. I mean, technically, of course, the wild card playoff game with Cincinnati was a regular season game, but the 162-game schedule a year ago literally went down to the final pitch. Now the Mets can breathe easy and smile for a few days. Bobby Valentine will give his regulars judicious rest between now and the end of the game on Sunday. Make sure everybody's in as best shape as possible for the Division Series opener. So the Mets have defeated the Atlanta Braves 6-2. And they have nailed down the wild card. So the Los Angeles Dodgers, the only team with any remaining hope in the National League, will now play, for them, a meaningless game at home against the Giants tonight. For the Giants, still trying to hold off St. Louis.
And the Mets win their 90th ball game of the season. They're 90-68. Bobby Valentine leading the Mets to the playoffs once again. He did it last year, and he does it again this year. So the Mets going in as a wild card entry, and everybody knows in order to win the National League Championship, the roads lead through Atlanta. How about a celebration? We're talking about a celebration last night here at Shea by the Braves. There we go. Celebration tonight by the Mets.
That boy, senor. That boy.
Well, the Mets hope this is the first of four celebrations. Celebrate getting in, winning the Division Series, winning the LCS, and winning the World Series. Somebody's going to have four of these. Charlie's handed them out.
Charlie's hugging him and handing him out.
He hands out boarding passes on the road. He hands out champagne at home. That's the life. Well, Mike Piazza, who's found his stroke, seemingly, over the last 10 days or so, now will probably get some time off right through Sunday's game. Play a game here, a game there, 5 or 6 innings here and there.
And take a look at that last out. Armando Benitez with that splitter. Lockhart strikes out. The Mets win the wild card in the National League for the second straight year. Their 90th victory of the season. And Armando Benitez continues to dominate as a closer. Steve Phillips and Jim Duquette congratulating each other and the other guys in the executive suite here at Shea Stadium.
And that's about right in terms of the type of on-field celebration. I mean, players tend to let loose a little bit more in the clubhouse, but I think they've got this in perspective.
A subdued celebration.
Well, for one thing, it's been a foregone conclusion for a while that the Mets were going to get this wild card spot. And so to make it official certainly requires some stamp that you've actually done it.
And the animated Armando Benitez, and most of the season he has been very, very dominant. And Bobby Valentine brought him in this ball game with a 4-run lead, and the New York Mets have clinched the National League wild card.
6-2 the final tonight here at Shea. We'll be back with some of the post-game reaction in a moment. Cubs pats on the back all around for the New York Mets tonight as they have earned it by clinching a wild card spot with their 90th win of the year. The Mets win it 6-2 to clinch the wild card. Matt Loughlin is standing by downstairs with Mets manager Bobby Valentine.
All right, Howie, thank you very much. In the relative quiet of the Mets manager's office as the celebration goes on in the clubhouse. First, Bobby, congratulations. Second successive year that you've made the postseason. What's the feeling as you get to the postseason once again?
Well, it's a door opening up, you know. It's we accept the invitation to go to the big dance, and you know, Fred Wilpon, Nelson Doubleday allowed Steve Phillips and his crew to assemble a good team. The guys went out on the field and played hard all year. We went through some bumps in the road, and we're getting where we want to go, and now the journey begins.
A little bit of a different feeling this year from last when you had to go the extra game to ensure that you'd get there. What's the significance of doing it twice in a row where there was more pressure this year, I think, than there was last year?
Well, you know, everyone starts out with a lot of pressure, and you know, you have to run the whole race. And we had a great August, which gave us a lot of space, and you know, made this a little easier here at the end. And I think we've learned a lot about ourselves, about what we can and can't do, and I think we could do an awful lot.
There was some talk that celebrating the wild card is not necessarily significant, but there are only 4 invitations to the postseason. I think the players with their celebration understand that, you know what, there are only going to be 4 playing once the regular season comes through, and it is important.
Why not? I mean, let's pick on something that means something. This is a good time for guys who worked real hard. It's a time to relax before they take that deep breath that they need to get into that big arena.
All right, so now you do have some breathing room. What's the game plan the rest of the way as you set this team up for the postseason?
No, it's an early game, so we'll spend some time putting all those things together. And, you know, I know some guys need at-bats now to make sure that they're going to be ready. Some guys need a little rest, and we'll set up a pitching rotation that we're real comfortable with. And you saw Rick Reed out there tonight. Looked real comfortable and gave us the game we needed.
Well, I know the team realizes there's more up ahead because Mike Piazza came in here and he said, I got to put the gamers away for some more action. He wanted to keep them hidden from the celebration.
Yeah, his bats will be hidden until they need to be broken out, and they'll be broken out in a big fashion.
All right, again, Bobby, congratulations. Bobby Valentine, the Mets skipper, happy, of course. The team going on to the postseason. Howie, back to you.
All right, Matty, thank you. And I think probably the most significant thing Bobby said is what we knew he was going to, and that's he gets a few days now to rest some tired and in some cases banged-up players. You wonder now about Derek Bell and also Benny Agbayani and whether or not their injuries will compromise their eligibility for the first round.
Well, I'm sure
or availability, actually.
I'm sure right now Derek Bell has a lot of ice on his knee, and of course they're hoping that Benny Agbayani will be ready, but a subdued celebration in the clubhouse, and as Bobby Valentine said, they've been invited to the playoffs, and they will accept the invitation, and they'll be ready for the playoffs, and that's when the real celebration, if they can win the playoffs and, of course, win the World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, think how different things were last year when it went down to that wild pitch by Brad Klontz on the final game of the regular season just for the Mets to get to that wild card playoff game. I mean, things could have been different had Cincinnati, you know, won a game that last weekend. The Mets wouldn't have even been able to get to Cincinnati for the one-game playoff last year. Here, even though the Mets stumbled throughout the early part of September, they had such a comfortable lead over Arizona, and Arizona really failed to take advantage of the door opening for them, that the Mets were able to maintain their equilibrium. There really was no sense of dread or panic in that clubhouse, and they've had enough time now to be able to get back on at least a positive track, and for their sake, hopefully get into the playoffs in a similar vein.
And the big thing is they are now getting some good swings of the bat from Alfonso, Ventura, Zeal, and Mike Piazza, and they just have to be ready when they hear the second bell of the year, and that will be the playoffs.
Now, questions. Who does Bobby Valentine name for his #1 starter? Who's going to start the playoffs? Remember, it's a 5-game series. Would you have your first game pitcher pitch game 1 and game 5? Certainly is the option that they'll probably look for. But right now, the option Bobby Valentine used tonight, the starting pitcher, Rick Reed, is standing by with Matt Loughlin.
And what a performance it was tonight for Rick, who goes 8 innings and 11. Knowing that one win you were in.
No, I'm not sure there was any pressure.
All right, obviously we're having some technical difficulties down in the locker room, so hopefully they'll be able to get that straightened out in short order. But, you know, Rick Reed, he pitched a clutch game earlier this year against Atlanta when the Mets went into Atlanta. Pitched a 1-0 shutout against the Houston Astros earlier this year. but when the Mets have needed him from time to time this season, just to come out, pitch a strong game, and really quiet some things down where there might have been some doubt or apprehensions creeping in, consistently he's done that. It's been a solid year for Rick Reed.
Yeah, Rick Reed throwing the ball extremely well, picking up his 11th victory of the season, as you mentioned, pitching well against the Braves. And just keep in mind, the Braves celebrated last night. The Mets celebrating after beating the Braves tonight here at Shea Stadium.
And Matt Loughlin is celebrating because he gets another crack with everything all worked out with Rick Reed.
A little bit about your performance tonight. Any pressure going out knowing that it was one winning in?
No, you know, Matty, I don't do that. I've got enough pressure in trying to get those guys out in the first place instead of putting added pressure on myself. I just go out there and try to pitch my game and pray that it's good enough that night, and tonight it turned out pretty well for us.
I noticed when the team came into the clubhouse, there was a bit of a reverse of what might be expected. The young guys came in rather matter-of-factly, and you expect the younger players to go crazy because they're in the postseason, say, for the first time. But it was the veterans who recognized that this is not going to happen all the time. There is some significance to it, and they were leading the charge.
Well, you know, we work hard. We go to spring training and work hard to get in this position to go to the playoffs, and you know, right now it's time to let off a little steam. You know, last year it came down to the last game, and then we had to go to a playoff game in Cincinnati, and now, you know, we've got 4 games left in the season now. We only had a day to really get ready for the second round or the first round of the playoffs. We can enjoy it.
All right, well, Rick Reed certainly will enjoy it. Rick, congratulations, and we'll see you in the postseason.
Thank you.
All right, fellas, back to you.
A postseason that begins 1 week from tonight. The Mets, we are told, are scheduled to play Wednesday and Thursday. The exact times of those games not yet assured. And strictly, the Mets' opponent in that first round has not been assured either, because there is still some wiggle room for either the Giants or the Cardinals to be the Mets' opponent. But, you know, either way, their teams, you think about where the Mets' strengths are in terms of starting pitching. Al Leiter, Mike Hampton, whether it's the Giants or the Cardinals, I think they're teams you want to throw left-handers against. So the Mets in good shape, I think, as far as the pitching matchup against either of those teams, at least early on.
As you mentioned, Leiter, Hampton, you can throw either one out there, and you're throwing an ace at the opposition.
Got a chance to neutralize Barry Bonds, perhaps, with a left-handed arm, Jim Edmonds with a left-handed arm, and others in those series. So the Mets well fortified in the starting pitching department for that division series, which begins in 1 week. And the Mets assured themselves of their participation with their 6-2 win tonight over the Atlanta Braves here at Shea Stadium, clinching the wild card spot in the National League for the 2nd consecutive year. We'll be back to Shea Stadium with more post-game reaction right after these messages. He usually wins games with his bat and his glove. Tonight he helped win one with his bat and his wheels. And he's standing by downstairs with Matt Loughlin. Gentlemen.
All right, Howie, Robin, you going to add that hat to your collection?
Yes, this is a nice hat to have.
I'm sure it'll have a prominent spot. 3rd time to the postseason in your career. You know, what's the significance of this particular postseason berth?
I think they're all special. I mean, you don't get that many times to go, and you know, depending on how many years you play and which teams you're playing on, you know, there's a lot of other teams that wish they were us right now.
Well, the Mets last year, of course, went the regular season +1 to get there. So now you have some time to breathe. Does that, in and of itself, make this a different kind of year?
Yeah, it does. I mean, we can line up our pitching the way we want. You know, last year it was kind of by the skin of your teeth. So, you know, this year we can kind of line up the pitching the way we want. And, you know, Derek having run into the wall tonight on making a great catch, you can rest him. You don't have to rush him back out there.
Now, how about you? We know you don't like to talk about it, but we also know that the body aches are there. Are you going to rest a little bit?
I'm fine. I mean, if they are going to play some certain guys just to make sure that they get playing time, I mean, that's fine. But, you know, I feel fine.
No, Robin Ventura should feel fine. Why not in the postseason again,
I'll feel
Robin?
better in about another minute.
All right, we'll let you go with the rest of the mates. How's that sound? All right, Robin Ventura, he'll head into the clubhouse as we go back upstairs to you guys.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think you can tell by that conversation. Robin doesn't really want to sit down these last few games, particularly because it's really only over the last week or so that his bat has really started to heat up to where he can become the hitter that he was more often last season than the one we saw this season.
And you know, Robin Ventura, you know his history as far as swinging the bat. If he could get hot, he can carry a ball club through the playoffs and the World Series.
And again, last year, Robin Ventura banged up going into the playoffs. Bobby Valentine did not have the luxury last year of resting Ventura, of resting Piazza. That's what happens when you've got to go pedal to the metal right down to the 163rd game of a 162-game regular season. Now he can use these next few days judiciously, sensibly, and even if some of the players fight him in terms of getting rest, like their parents would tell them, it's for their own good.
Well, you know, it's funny. You mentioned the word rest, and I know you've been concerned about the health and the rest of the
You've got to distribute those down hours.
He's the team physician when we're not in the air, but they have been rested. Mike Piazza is strong. He said that he feels rested. He was swinging a good bat in Philadelphia, so it might help after all. So you might be Bobby Valentine's assistant before this is over.
That is something no one would like to see, trust me. However, something everybody in the Mets organization was hoping to see since they went to spring training in Port St. Lucie in February, a clinching out.
And Armando Benitez to Keith Lockhart. He threw him the splitter, and he got him. So Benitez coming in, and that's been a formula all year. Bring Benitez in the ninth inning, and he has been dominating most of the season. And the Mets, you know, we talked about Ventura, we talked about Zeal and Piazza. Well, they need Benitez to be very productive during postseason.
Let's celebrate their second consecutive wild card clinching. They beat the Braves tonight 6-2. We'll come back to Shea in a moment. At Triborough Bridge, in a happy mood after the Mets clinched the wild card. 6-2. They beat the Braves tonight. Matt Loughlin standing by downstairs with a man who got the hit that put the Mets in front for good, Darrell Hamilton.
And, of course, Darrell came on when Derek Bell was injured, making that fantastic catch. And, Darrell, you did come through with the pinch hit that gives the Mets the lead. And you know what? Nothing sweeter than celebrating a postseason berth and doing it in style.
Oh, it's definitely nothing sweeter. I mean, it's one of those things where you never get used to this. I mean, it's a situation where it doesn't happen too often. So when you get it, you got to have a good time with it and hope it continues.
For you, we know about the injuries and all the lost time. What's the significance personally being able to come back, contribute down the stretch, and get into the postseason?
Well, this is something that I thought about during rehab. I mean, this is one thing that kept me going. I mean, when I was doing all these running out on the field by myself, having one of the doctors with me talk to about, you know, what can get better with this toe. This is what I thought about, getting to the playoffs and going to the World Series, and the first step has been made. So, you know, I'm really excited. It's kind of those things where I'm trying to hold it all in right now, but, you know, I'm not going to get out here and cry because I feel like doing that right now. But, you know, it's just amazing that I'm back in this situation again.
All right, now I know the Mets fans who are watching probably want to ask this question. We took less time than last year, but the Mets fans are probably wondering, why did you take this long this season?
I mean, it's been a tough struggle. I mean, we have our little thing in September. I don't know what it is, I don't know why it happens, but it happens. And usually we play better in October, and that's when you want to play good. But you got to get to October, first of all, and we're there now. So, you know, the pressure's off us. We're in the playoffs again for the second year in a row, first time in franchise history, and that's even sweeter right there.
All right, Darrell, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you in the postseason.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, Darrell Hamilton joining us downstairs. Howie, let's go back to you and Fran one last time.
All right, Matty, thank you. Shea Stadium emptying as the Mets have emptied the suspense in the National League races this year. It's all decided now, save for the positioning of the division champions. The Mets know their role. It is as the wild card. They will open the playoffs 1 week from tonight in either San Francisco or St. Louis. Remember, you can't play a team in your division as the wild card, so there's no chance they can play the Braves anymore until the LCS after tomorrow's meeting. That'll be the final game of the regular season between the Mets and the Braves. Matt Loughlin will start it off at 6:30 with Geico Mets on deck. Now stay tuned for the National Sports Report coming up next here on Fox Sports Net. We get you the entire rundown, the Olympic news, and a whole lot more. And then at 11 o'clock.